Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hey, don't look now, but here come the Guardians!
The Adam the Bull curse. Yesterday, he asked the world, hey, is Jose Ramirez slumping? And then that was motivation for what was a historic performance last night. Yeah, Jose, frequent watcher of
Those were his
UCSS.
first 3 at-bats, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Back to back to back.
I mean, that's what this club needed.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It's Friday. I hope we're going to slingshot you into the weekend. Hey, if you've got no weekend plans, good tickets still available for the Astros Guardians, which is stunning to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're first place team. They're a very, very good team. I don't know if they're in first place right now.
No, the Rangers.
I think the Rangers are in first place. I looked today. I like to kind of gauge the standings of where the Guardians be. They're a game and a half out of first place now. They're 4 under 500, but they're a game and a half out of first place. If they were in the East,
it's over.
they're done.
Yeah.
They're buried. I think they're in last place. If they were in the West, they're 10 and a half or so.
Behind the Rangers.
Or 12 and a half. I did the math this morning. They're like 12, 13 games behind the Rangers. And it's basically, that's a wrap. You're not going to make up that ground. But because they're in the American League Central, there's a chance. Not only is there a chance, there's a good chance.
They're the Vegas betting favorites to win the AL Central.
And they should be, I think. I think Tito has managed the storm. He's made it through the storm. And there are a lot of signs that they're coming out of it just fine. We're going to talk more about the Guardians in just a second. First, though, quick look at what Greg Pruitt's on today's show.
Yep.
Now, you've got to be my age to know who Greg Pruitt is. But once upon a time, this guy, he had 12 seasons as a running back in the NFL, guys.
A lot of years.
5 All-Pro seasons, or Pro Bowl seasons, I'm sorry.
And he was an All-Pro in 77.
One-time All-Pro, 5 Pro Bowls. He was, I was very, very young, but I do remember him. And what I most remember about him was he was what a running back looked like to me. Now, he played at the same time O.J. Simpson did. He came in a little later than O.J. But O.J., for me as a kid, was the standard at running back. Mm-hmm. He did everything. He was just big, strong, fast, would run away from guys. Greg Pruitt was, for me, a pretty close second. He finished 3rd in the Heisman vote in his junior season at Oklahoma and 2nd in his senior season. So a great running back. I can't wait to catch up with him and to hear some of his good stories from the 70s.
12 years is so crazy. You look at the number of running backs that are greats never played 12. Gale Sayers didn't play 12.
No. Jim Brown didn't play 12.
Jim Brown didn't play.
Barry Sanders didn't play 12.
Terrell Davis, no 12 years. That's a long time.
It'd be easier to list the guys that have played more than 12 seasons at that position.
Right.
I mean, Emmitt Smith certainly had durability.
Frank Gore, the modern
Peterson, Frank Gore. Those are some of the contemporaries.
I think maybe Curtis Martin. Maybe.
Yeah,
I think Curtis Martin did.
Yeah.
I think he did.
That was an era when they were getting 25 to 30 carries a game, too. Not this, double backfield, double back where they're getting 15, 16 carries. They were legitimate bell cows. And to last that long, 12 years.
At that position, too.
And he had more carries than any other running back in college when he was at Oklahoma.
I didn't know that.
All those carries.
What, his senior year or over that 4-year stretch?
Well, he only played 3 years.
Oh,
okay,
he played 3.
But he had, and we have the stats, and we'll pull it up when he comes up, but I think he had like 650 carries in 3 years in college,
also,
which
one
is
of the things
stupid.
I want to talk to him about is, and it seems odd because he played in my lifetime. He played in your lifetime. You were way too young to remember.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
1981.
Okay, yeah. So he played a few years in your lifetime. You were a baby. You don't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
But it's weird to think that a player who played in our lifetimes, not you, obviously, but had to deal with racial strife. When he was playing in Oklahoma, the South wasn't even fully integrated. There weren't a lot of blacks playing football in the South. Can you imagine? No. I mean, when you look at it today and where we are today, I'm interested to hear what some of the stories are maybe of things he had to deal with. So he's going to join us. He's coming up in the second hour of the program. Also, we're going to throw a name out there in the NBA. Would you want this guy on the Cavs roster?
This is
big-time name, likely available. Do you want him? That'll be an interesting discussion. And also, Ant's got a new game. I'm excited about this. I have no idea how it's going to go. It's called Who's That Player? Do you want to tease us and tell us what we're doing?
It's a fun little guessing game. It might be inspired by some Who's That Pokemon stuff, since I did Pokemon last week.
I don't know what Who's That Pokemon is, so I'm guessing you'll tell us a couple of facts about a player, and we'll have to guess the player.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I won't tell you the category. I'll tell you the category when we get to it later in the show.
All right, very good. Is that something all the kids are doing, Who's That Pokemon?
No,
so they run it before every commercial break on like Saturday morning cartoons.
They do.
Wow.
I took the inspiration.
All right, very good.
Shout out to Scyther.
First of all, I'm impressed that you still watch Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, I don't, but I remember it from a kid. I don't wake up that early.
Oh, as a kid they did that.
I got in the time machine and was watching a documentary 3 days ago. What happened to Saturday morning cartoons?
Oh, it's a travesty.
Oh, listen.
Bro, they put on like hair replacement infomercials.
Oh,
It used to be appointment television.
Hey,
I never missed.
never.
My bowl of
CW.
Crunch Berries and watch it. Favorite cartoon of all time. That's got to be a topic.
It has to be. Like and think about it. I used to come on early. I used to get up
8 a.m.
Well, if I got in trouble, shout out to my parents. Like if I got in trouble,
They got you up?
I used to have to get up at like 4 or 5, and I used
On Saturdays?
On Saturday, and I had to clean, and I had to do math facts and science.
Wow.
Reports, like 5, and I couldn't do it until after, and then they would be like, "And you're not allowed to watch the wrestling." And they would say no video. I said, "Bro, you guys are ridiculous, bro."
You know what though? Mama and Papa G. Bush are the reason you're here today.
Yeah, I give
They
them
instilled
credit for that.
discipline.
I'll give
They
them
made you the
that.
person you are.
Well, listen, I'm gonna have to at least put some of that on my kids. But I'll tell you what, TGIF Friday and Saturday morning cartoons was a 36-hour extravaganza.
Yeah.
You got to watch TGIF. You went to sleep and you got back up and you had cartoons on. Are you serious?
What was everybody's favorite cartoon? And I want to hear from folks in the chat and the YouTube and all that. I guess I mean Bugs Bunny is the classic, but I loved Popeye.
Popeye's a good one.
Popeye was just
He's a good.
this skinny little dude with sick forearms that just popped some spinach, and like Brutus was done.
Brutus would have
Bluto.
Bluto, he definitely was a Me Too guy. Like he's a guy that would have never. First of all, the
way he treated olive oil would not pass the smell test.
He was getting physical with olive oil in public, like grabbing her up. Also, Pepe Le Pew. That cat was he was chasing that cat for years.
Yeah, he was.
And he was just
he was thirsty.
He was thirsty. He was robbing her. He was trying to get kisses in public. I'm like, bro, you can't do that, my man.
I think he's canceled now.
Yeah, he's
done.
I like Tom and Jerry was a classic, and then Roadrunner.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Roadrunner was great.
Roadrunner, yeah.
The Coyote, Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
And Acme, everything was Acme.
Yes.
What product placement that was?
And the Coyote died like 10 times an episode. He would fall off the cliff, and then after a while you see.
I didn't like how they defied the laws of physics on him. Like he would cut the ledge, and and the whole mountain would fall, and he would stay there.
And then he'd look at the camera, and then he would fall.
Man, well, I'll tell you what. There's a couple cartoons I used to watch that was very over people's head. Like, it used to come on very early, and it used to be Bullwinkle.
Oh, I remember Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle was kind of like over people's heads. They had like imagery in there. They would have like different like political jokes in there that you wouldn't even have gotten.
Yeah, like for the adult stuff.
Yeah, it's the adult. Like Bullwinkle used to come on. But my era was, obviously Ninja Turtles was great. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ninja Turtles, great call.
Great Ninja Turtle. Not the Sonic.
After my time.
There was 2 Sonic the Hedgehogs. There was 2.
There's a good and a bad one.
It was a dark one that used to come on where it was just like, this is kind of scary. Like these it'd be dark, like Dr. Robotnik and all these other. And then there was a laughing, joking one where it was like, I think it was on.
The last one, and then I think, Ant, we got some YouTube chat suggestions. Remember the fighting sharks? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember the fighting sharks.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the name of the show, but
Shark Attack.
Shark Attack, yeah.
I don't remember that.
That was a classic.
I'm too old. I was way. The one thing that I speaking about Pepe Le Pew getting canceled, I saw a funny meme the other day. Someone said, "Thank God Pepe Le Pew is canceled," Now my 12-year-old son, can go back to playing Grand Theft Auto where he just set a hooker on fire because he refused to pay her. And I'm like, okay, so let's just think about the dynamics of that for a second.
You're right.
You've got Pepe Le Pew getting canceled.
Right.
And you've got kids the same age that would be watching that.
Yeah.
Playing with no restrictions whatsoever. Grand Theft Auto where they can set hookers on fire.
That was crazy. The carjackings, everything.
New era.
So cartoons was the greatest.
Yeah.
And we got some from the chat.
Yeah, and whenever we ask the chat anything is brought to us by our friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up.
Great.
Plus, you can get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So I'm seeing a lot of... I got some Thundercats. We got a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're getting some Jimmy Neutrons, some DuckTales.
Oh
wow.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Hercules. I didn't know Hercules had a cartoon. The Flintstones.
I don't remember that either.
The classic Ed, Edd and Eddy. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Scooby-Doo was
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Laugh Olympics.
The Jetsons.
Rugrats.
You guys.
I didn't like the Jetsons.
You didn't like the Jetsons?
I didn't like the Jetsons.
Captain Caveman.
We're kind of, if you think about it, we're where the Jetsons were. Minus the air travel in space, through the sky.
Yeah, give or take.
Which I used to watch that, and I literally used to think, wow, that's what it's going to be. We're all going to have little vehicles that we shoot around in the sky, and they go.
One here
never
from my
made
generation. Recess. Recess was great.
Recess.
It was on. I believe it was on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And Nickelodeon had my favorite, Danny Phantom.
That was terrible. Danny Phantom sucked.
I used to watch.
What about Rugrats? Anybody Rugrats?
Yeah, we had a couple Rugrats. We got some SpongeBob's.
My kids loved Rugrats, SpongeBob,
Transformers.
Transformers.
I didn't like Doug.
Well, did your kids? So, is there as a parent, did your kids like at a point in time, like try to sell their souls because they wanted something like a specific thing for Christmas? Like for me, my mom got me when it was all the craze. My mom got me a Cabbage Patch doll.
That's awesome.
And my dad like really flipped out.
Said you're not giving that.
Like
to him.
no, like and they literally had words. They was like, listen, like they was like listen, Ron, just get it for him. And what dad says, well, I'm not giving my son a doll. He's like, he's not about to have no doll out here.
Yeah,
so
I would have been the same way.
He was like, oh no, they was really going back at it. But here's the thing, I was playing rough with the doll. Like I used it to play football with him, so I ripped his arm off. His arm got ripped off. So I had a Cabbage Patch.
Dad was happy about that too.
It got ripped off, and I used to carry it around. And they was like, well, at least he ripped the other arm off because he was looking like I was probably about half this size when I was a baby. So he was like, we is not about to give you a Cabbage Patch.
So you have the world's only armless Cabbage Patch.
Armless Cabbage Patch.
That's awesome.
Before we get to Guardians, my dad fought through hell and high water to make sure I had a Wii when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Shout out to my dad. We waited in lines. We waited
that was a rage
for months
for a while.
to find one. It was impossible.
Elmo.
Yeah.
It's called Reptar bars in Rugrats, right? Is that what they were? The Reptar bars?
Yeah,
Reptar
bars.
I wanted one for Halloween so bad. And every Halloween as a kid, I'd be like, how come I got no Reptar bars, a Reptar bar or whatever? And then they had to explain to me, like,
That's awesome.
They don't really exist. So
keep your cartoon suggestions coming. It's always fun to have a little nostalgia.
Yeah, we got some
and look
super
back.
chats. 1 second, let me find it real quick, and then we'll go over more of them at the end of the show. But Dragon Ball Z is undefeated.
Big miss.
Thanks
big
for
miss
the
on
super
us.
chat.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised it took this long for that to be mentioned.
I'm still watching that. What you talking about?
Toonami came back on Cartoon Network. Toonami's great.
I got the DVDs and everything.
Oh, the good old days when you have no concerns. Your only concern was, is it going to be a nice enough day for me to get outside and play baseball?
That was it.
That was it.
And you'd be like, Dad, are we going to get this game in? It was raining half the day.
Yeah, and you're always optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
It could be raining 3 hours straight. You'd be like, yeah, it's going to clear up. We're going to get this in.
Yeah,
You're calling your buddies.
Hey,
I got my uniform on right now. I know it's only 3 o'clock, game's at 6, but I think this is going to clear up.
That's exactly what it was.
Oh,
you
my
looking
God.
around, you on the porch.
And then finally, when the call came in from the league or your manager, the game's canceled. You're like, God, hang up the phone. I can't believe they can't play in this.
Ours came from the VFW. Like I don't know. First of all, I don't know how the VFW control all of them. Like
I was in a VFW Little League too.
They were like, listen, a VFW called. The president said we ain't gonna do it.
There's no game. It was like wreck your day. That was it. You sit in your uniform just staring.
When we gonna make it up?
This weather sucks,
man. And we got
soccer
practice.
play in the snow. Just play a man's sport.
I tell you, as a kid, there was no worse feeling than a game that you've been looking for, a big game, getting weathered out.
Yes.
I mean, that sucked.
You was in the cages.
You're ready.
They took you to swings and things. You got your eye ready to go, and next thing you know, you look up and it's
even
pouring.
worse, Jay, with a day you were supposed to pitch.
Yeah.
And literally,
I
I know
your
you were
day
pitching,
on
but
the mound.
Oh, that's crazy.
So this happened to me a couple times. Beautiful day, all day. You didn't swim because, you can't swim because that's going to affect your performance.
Yeah.
Swimming was
So
the
you
devil.
stay out of the pool because that will tire you out and you're not going to be
that
worthless.
chlorine is just
It tires you out. So you don't swim. It's a beautiful day.
Man.
You get in that uniform at 3. You're stretching. You're throwing on the pitch back. You're using Johnny Bench batter up.
back.
You're all ready to go. You get to the game. You're in the dugout, and all of a sudden, like one crack of lightning. It might be 10 miles away, but if
Don't
the
matter.
umpire heard it, and the umpire always had like mom hearing.
Yep.
Listen.
That's it. We're going home.
It's because the umpire's getting paid $17.50
Whether
for a 3-hour
we play or
game,
not.
play or not.
Oh, it was
As soon
horrible.
as you hear that crack of thunder,
Yeah.
obviously we
Yeah,
can't play.
this is an unsafe
too
situation
dangerous
for the kids.
I don't care if that lightning strike that we saw was in Texas, but it's so flat that it ain't even close to
We
coming.
heard it.
We heard it. We
The
ain't playing.
metal
Go home.
bats.
Yeah,
The metal
you
bats.
can't stand there with a metal bat and a lightning
Get away
storm.
from them bats over there.
The little 4-year-old holding
Terrible.
a metal bat up is 7 feet tall and is still the tallest thing around.
Oh, good times. All right. Guardians, we are really starting to see the whole ship turn its nose right now. Couple of facts for you. They've won 4 of 5.
Fact.
They've won 7 of 11, so you really want to see it go over a double-digit stretch. They're a game and a half out. As you look at the standings, I know everything's close. They're also only 2 games from being in 4th, but everything is trending in the right direction. Now, Houston comes into town tonight. That's going to be a tough series, but if they can keep the bats rolling, it's all about winning series.
Yep.
Tito's preaching, I'm sure, 3-game stretches at a time. Win series, one after another. If you do that, you're going to end up in first place. I want your guys' take, before I give mine, on where things sit today, June the 9th, on the Guardians. Are you buying them for the playoffs? Are you selling them for the playoffs?
Which one do you want to go? What you want to do?
I mean, I'll start. I'm buying them for the playoffs simply because I think the division's terrible. As you laid out before we got into this, if they're in the AL East, they're out of it.
They're out.
If they're in the AL West, they're out of it.
Yeah.
But they're in the AL Central, and that puts them right in the thick of things. They have won 3 of their last 4 series. They're playing better. Yeah. The one series they didn't win was a 2-2 split. So they actually haven't lost in 4 series. And speaking of the number 4, this is why I'm not fully buying in, even though I am buying them as a playoff contender. They've won 4 games this year by 4+ runs. That's it. They've played over 60 games. They've only won 4. They have 29 wins. 25 of those have been save situations.
Right.
That is the fewest by any team that would have won the division through 62 games ever.
Wow.
So they're not crushing teams. They're squeaking by teams, which is fine because a win's a win. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 run or win by 10 runs.
You know, their last 3 losses are all by 1 run.
So they have played, they're 13-17 in 1-run games this year. So they have had every break go their way last year. This year, those breaks haven't all gone their way. And they're not blowing teams out. The run differential is still in the red.
It is.
However,
22, minus 22 or something?
22, 23, right in that range. It's in the 20s. But they're a game and a half back because the Twins, who are in first place, are under 500. So don't sell your Guardian stock.
No.
They're going to be a playoff team. Can they win the World Series? Totally different question. But as far as are they a playoff team? Yeah, it's because this division sucks.
Yeah.
Well, they sneaky. That's the way it happens in baseball. Sometimes you can start off bad. We was just laughing and joking about baseball. There's a lot of things that can come down to, if you don't, a lot of the balls that they were hitting earlier this year was right at people. A lot of them loop singles wasn't falling in. But some things started to change a little bit. They got McKenzie back. He came out and pitched, got 10 strikeouts. And you can start to see, there's a level of confidence because now you got another guy back who now, when he's pitching, you don't think you got to you don't got to put up 9, 10 runs, right? You just need to get enough over the hump. So that infuses with some confidence. Then you get little guy Rosario. He must have heard people talking about him because now all of a sudden he's getting these little bloop hits. Now he's getting on base. Now he looks like he's starting to hit the ball a little bit better.
I think everybody had a hit yesterday.
Everybody, all these hits.
Most of them had multiple hits. They had 15 hits.
15 hits. Then the big one is Will Brennan just thinks he's
my guy.
Like, Will Brennan feels like he is actually playing right now like he feels like that's his position.
We need to get him back on the show. Have we made the effort to get him back? Because when I talked to the Guardians at spring training, they made it seem like, that's absolutely a doable deal.
Yeah.
He likes coming on. We'll get him on as a regular.
I'll talk to Curtis again, but they were struggling for a large portion of the season.
Sure.
He wasn't playing well, so Curtis was like, let's wait.
All right,
but
Curtis,
now that he's
let's go. Let's get him on
now that he's out, I'll reach back out to Curtis. I bet you we can get him on.
He hit a home run. Listen, he turned on the inside pitch. I was like, oh, okay, Will. I see what you're out there doing.
He sacrificed the bird and has since grown.
That's right.
His baseballs have grown wings and they're flying out.
I was there that night.
I don't. This does not include his stats from last night, and he went 2 for 4 with the home run last night.
Right.
But since he hit the bird, and Anthony, do we still have the tag board in from yesterday? We had his stats, but I think he was hitting like 459 since he hit the bird. Yeah, and we had the tag board from yesterday. I'll find it. I can find it real quick.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real
But
fast.
it's an and this does not include yesterday. So when I find it, give me 1 sec. But since he killed the bird,
if he was 459 before
it may not have been. Just give me 1 sec. I'll get you the exact number.
The bottom line is he accidentally killed a bird and he's gone nuts.
He's been red hot.
And now he feels
okay,
he's
you
the
ready?
right fielder.
Since Brennan exploded a bird, and this includes last night now, he's 17 for 41 for a 410 batting average, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs.
Wow.
17 for 41
See,
since
if
killing
they
the
can
bird.
continue to get that, that's better than Oscar Gonzalez production.
What you mean?
That's
If they
way
can
better.
continue to get that out of right field, that solves a problem. I tell you another thing, and this is why I'm buy. And this is why when we talked at the beginning of the year, you said, where is this team going to be when McKenzie comes back? And I said they're going to be at 500. They weren't quite at 500. But as we look now at the second third of the season, the middle third of the season, I think they're going to finish about 10 games over 500. I think they're that good of a club. Here's why I have big-time reason for hope. Look at their rotation is now settled in. Everything takes care of itself. Quantrill, for whatever reason, whether there's a real injury or he's just forgotten how to get guys out, he's now out of the rotation. He's got the injury. He's unavailable for now. Plesac, wow. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see the 2020 Plesac or 21. I can't remember which of the years he looked really, really good. That ship has sailed. So here's now their starting rotation as it looks today. And I'm going to read these in order of earned run average, okay? Now, obviously, McKenzie's thrown 5 innings. He's got a 0 earned run average. I do think that he's the de facto ace of this staff.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's supplanted Bieber as the ace.
Yeah.
His stuff is electric. It's Cy Young quality. He's got high strikeout stuff. Bieber is no longer a strikeout guy, it appears. So I've got McKenzie. He's got the best ERA on the staff. Savali went 5 2/3 last night. He gave up the home run. Prior to that, he had only given up 1 run. So he gave up 2 last night. He's 2-1 after the win. His ERA is 2.31.
Yeah.
So he's not the number 2, but right now, these are the ERAs in order.
Right.
Then you got Logan Allen. Then you've got Tanner Bybee. The highest ERA on the Guardians' starting 5 staff right now is Shane Bieber at 3.5 runs a game.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, and you look at the fact that the bats are finally starting to talk, if you have 5 pitchers, your 5 starters, and the highest ERA is 3.5, and he's a Cy Young winner, and he hasn't yet pitched up to his potential, you can see why there's a lot of excitement around how this team can win the division. Because this is a starting rotation. I'm not saying that they can go deep in the playoffs, because there's not a lot of them that have playoff experience. But this is a staff that can win a division, and they're going to make this whole trade Bieber, keep Bieber scenario real difficult for the Guardians. I read a couple of days ago, a major league executive was quoted as saying Shane Bieber's not that guy. Essentially, that's what he said. It's like the Guardians, if they're expecting a big package for him, they're not going to get it. He's no longer Shane Bieber, All-Star Game MVP, Cy Young winner.
He kind of reminds me, as they were pitching, I said, is Shane Bieber the new version of Corey Kluber?
Yeah.
I said, because they killing.
By the way, that was hard to watch.
That was bad. That was the rope-a-dope.
Yeah,
they had him on the ropes, and they just kept tagging him.
Yeah.
And I said, Corey Kluber, this is what a team is going to be looking at with Bieber in about 3 years if they decide to make.
Well, I hope for Shane's sake, he's a great guy, and he's a talent. I hope for his sake it's longer than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the arc and the trajectory of a pitcher is they tend to be in their prime 28 to 32. And I do think Bieber is still in that, but I do think that I don't know how long he's going to be able to sustain that. I'm really surprised at how his strikeout numbers have gone down.
Well, his velocity's down 5-6 miles an hour.
And that's worrisome
Yeah.
to me. I don't know if that could be a telltale to an injury. Everybody's keeping it quiet because he's on the blocks. The last thing you want to do if you're the Guardians and you're really trying to move him is to shelve him.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's now if you're Bieber and you've got an injury, you're going to insist that you go on the DL.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with him, but guys, there've got to be real conversations going on inside that building as to what we do with Shane Bieber, because I mentioned this last week and I'll repeat it. If they're in first place and they trade their Cy Young and their
it's hard to sell that to the rest of the team.
How do you sell that to Jose Ramirez?
Especially if it's only
and
prospects.
And the fan base.
Especially if it's only prospects coming back.
We don't need prospects. We've got prospects.
We have too many prospects.
We need a bat or two that we can insert into the lineup.
Today.
And by reading some of the comments from some of these general managers, it doesn't appear that that's going to happen.
Now, on the flip side, though, and I'm not advocating for or against trading Shane Bieber here. I'm just saying because the second wild card's been added and so many teams are in it now, there's a chance that Bieber is the best starting pitcher available at the deadline, which means you might get back more for him than you would based on just his production alone. Like, he might be the prized pick, essentially, of the of the trade deadline acquisition period.
I don't know. I haven't
so
really
you get the
studied.
haul back.
There's a lot of teams that are out of it already. You know, when you look at what the Rays have done, the Rays have just run away with things.
But really, there's only two teams in the AL who are completely out of it.
Well, the A's are dead.
A's and Royals.
They're 100%
the only two
dead.
teams that are totally out of it.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say, too. If I'm going to advocate one way or another, it's going to be to keep them. And here's why. We're watching, and I don't think they're going to win the title, but we're watching an 8 seed in the NBA who, up until their loss 2 nights ago, had home court advantage in the NBA Finals.
Right. 1-1.
So that happens. It happens. It happens in baseball. In fact, I'll argue that it's easier for it to happen in baseball than it is any other sport.
100%.
No argument.
In the NFL, every year you've got a handful, maybe 6, 8 teams, maybe. In the NBA, 4 to 6 teams, maybe. In Major League Baseball, just in the past couple of years, we saw a Braves team come back from the dead in August to win the World Series.
Nationals.
It can happen. The Nationals did it a few years back. So, as a starving fan who wants desperately to see meaningful baseball in October, and I enjoyed it last year even though it didn't end the way we wanted, I want this team to take every and all opportunities they can to play deep into October. And I'll say this. Their chances decrease dramatically if Shane Bieber is not on the roster on August 1st of making a playoff run. You're going to need his stability. He's a guy that can likely give you 2 starts in a playoff series.
Yep.
He has experience. The stage will not be too big for him. Bybee is going to be wide-eyed.
Yep.
Logan Allen is going to be wide-eyed. McKenzie's been there a little bit, so he's got a little bit of experience. But I think he's going to be, still a newbie by playoff experience standards. So will Savali. Bieber is your rudder in the water, and I hope they keep him.
I do have a question. So you listed the 5 stars with the lowest ERAs, and 2 of those guys in Bybee and Allen.
And those were all the starters.
Starters,
they have,
and McKenzie, like I said, it's only pitched 5 innings. Savali only has, I think, 4 starts or 5 starts all season. So little off kilter here, but guys like Bybee and Allen, when you see top pitching prospects come into the majors, a lot of times they look unhittable in their first couple starts. There's no real film. I remember Strasburg and his first start against the Pirates, and I think he had 14 strikeouts, which set the MLB rookie record. And I think the Pirates, only touched the ball like 4 times.
Yeah, well, he had a pitch that most people hadn't seen before.
So no film, and a lot. The Guardians have brought guys up who've looked extraordinary in their first start. How many starts do these guys need before opposing teams can start to game plan against what they do?
Well, it's so much more different now, and I'm glad you asked that question because I was talking with a scout at the end of the 21 season about this very thing, about how he said there's no more surprises. There used to be pop quizzes.
Yeah.
It used to be when a guy like Bybee would come up, everybody would say, well, we had some advanced scouting on him. Looks like he's got an A+ fastball. It looks like he's got a plus curveball, but he's only got 3 pitches that he can command. So they had that knowledge. But now there's no more pop quizzes. There's tape on everybody, even in the minor leagues, because a lot of these AAA games there's tape on these AAA games, some AA games. So once these guys have a book, it's a lot easier for teams to strategize against how they're going to approach them. So and really, Bybee can throw once or twice in the big leagues, and now we have tendencies to lean on. Oh, when he's up 0-2, he likes to go this way. When he's down 2-0, he always goes this way. So there's really no more surprises. The advanced scouting and the analytics now took that kind of mystery of the game out.
Okay.
So guys used to come up and dominate for 3 or 4 starts, and then they would start to get hit.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was a little bit of my concern with these guys. They've been great so far, but eventually other teams will kind of understand.
So what it is now is it's making the adjustment to the adjustment.
Yeah.
So hitters now are the first to make the adjustments. So how will they adjust to the way Bybee and Allen pitch?
Gotcha.
And we'll see that. And ultimately what we'll find is, I'll give you an example. A guy throws a curveball, but it's always out of the strike zone. So he starts it as a strike, and then it tails off.
Eventually you learn just
Well, soon everybody's spitting on
swinging,
it because they know what it is. They know it's a ball. So now they're going to force that pitcher to start it in and to break it over the plate. What happens when the strike ends up, or when the curveball ends up in the strike zone? So then Bybee's going to have to make an adjustment. Okay, I'll start it higher and break it down, or whatever the case may be. But it's such a game of cat and mouse. It's like a Rubik's Cube. If you've ever done a Rubik's Cube, if you start to get one side, if that's your strategy, I'm going to get one side, then I'll get the other 5.
it all falls into place.
You're going to fail. No, you're going to fail, because by getting this one solved, now trying to solve others, you're going to screw this one up.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
So for anybody that's done a Rubik's Cube, the approach is to get the corners all the way around. You get your 4 white corners, your 4 red corners, your 4 green, 4 blue, 4 yellow. Then you get the middle rows. Well, you're multitasking. You're doing many things at once. And it's the same thing for pitchers and hitters and the cat and mouse. As hitters are starting to adjust to his fastball, he's got to continue to change his fastball, but also work on his curveball. So it's a complex game. Those that can adjust survive. Those that don't are Oscar Gonzalez on the hitter's end of it. He couldn't show plate discipline. Pitchers knew what he was going to do, and they were able to have better success against him.
And one guy who does have plate discipline, Jose Ramirez, 3 home runs, first 3 at-bats. I think he hit 2 from the right side, 1 from the left side.
Yeah.
To me, it's always fascinating when you talk about switch hitters, because they're another part of an equalizer, right? Like, if you got multiple switch hitters in your lineup, you have an opportunity to keep a good hitter in the lineup. And one thing about Jose Ramirez is hitting them 3 home runs. It's crazy because it was the first time, I think, in a while it kind of reminded people why he's a superstar, right? You know what I'm saying? Also, crazy play at third base. It went down the line, that was a crazy play, getting him, throwing him out of first base. So the great thing about it is, especially when you talk about baseball, is everybody knows the clubhouse is infectious. Like, if you see Jose Ramirez go up there and he hit 3 home runs, that puts a little bit of onus on you. That makes you feel like, oh, they hittable. Oh, Jose is hitting them. Jose is lining them up. I think I'm hot too. All of a sudden, then you see Will Brennan come up and hit a home run. For the Guardians, it was refreshing to see that people were still trying to come up, and they were still trying to put more runs on the board. I think sometimes when you're conservative and you don't get a lot of runs, sometimes people will go up there and they get a 2-3 run lead. They want to wave the flag and say, all right, let's just coast this out. Nah, I need y'all to see it's okay to put 12 on a team. We all adults here. You can run rule people.
And let's be honest, the Guardians need to stat pad. Because a lot of their stats are terrible, especially offensively. So when they get an opportunity against
Run it up.
And we love Corey Kluber, but he was throwing BP last night, essentially.
It was hard to watch.
Why did they take that man out? I know they wanted to set it up for the next series. They had him out there looking crazy.
Well, at some point, it's not a white flag, but it is kind of a white flag, and you're just in inning-eating mode.
You have a sacrilegious goat.
Just save the bullpen, and it's embarrassing. You know, I'm sure Corey Kluber wanted to, dig a hole and hide under the mound. Yeah. But when it's a veteran like that, and he's pitching in front of the crowd that used to adore him, I thought there might have been a little bit more human decency involved.
And I give the fans credit. I noticed. Did you guys see that? They kind of clapped it up for him.
They were actually trying.
Yeah, they did.
And kudos to them, because that's a classy move for an opposing player.
Very
who
classy.
Obviously,
you're essentially trying to lift up the opposition.
Yeah, it was a bad spot.
I've seen it happen like in the 9th inning of a no-hitter.
Right.
When the opposing team is throwing a no-hitter, the home fans, even though their team is getting no hit, they want to see history, and they kind of get into it. Yeah. And there's a faction of those fans that will stand and cheer. I just saw something that I can tell my kids about. Yeah. But I thought it was good to see too. Look, Corey Kluber is one of the all-time fan favorites for the Cleveland Indians and Guardians, and it was really hard to look at.
One more point I want to point out about Jose's performance last night, and this goes to how bad offensively they've been, especially in the power category. Jose's 3 home runs last night increased the team's home run total by 9%.
Wow. They're at 39 now, right?
Brennan had 40. So.
Oh, yeah.
But before Brennan hit his,
he's got almost 25% of the team's entire home runs.
Well, he had 6 in 61 games heading into last night. Wow. He had 3 in last night's game. So he increased his home run total by 50% in one night. And the team total up 8.6 to be exact.
Yeah. Oh, there's one other stat, too, and they're still dead last in home runs. And that's not a surprise because they were way trailing. But in the last couple of weeks, this is what's really reason for me to be excited. They were 30th in batting average. They're 21st now.
Yep. On the rise.
And they're not far from being middle of the pack.
Well, Brennan's been much better. Jimenez has been much better.
Quan has been better.
Quan's been better. Jose's been better. And Rosario has 4 hits in the last 2 days.
He's showing signs. So it's baseball streaky. A lot of times a team can all slump at once. And I think if you're Tito this morning and you're waking up with a 1.5 game deficit, you're waking up today and you're saying, yeah, this team can do it. Because there's never any I know that we get down on players, and I know there's a lot of talk in our chat about get rid of Rosario and put Rosario. No. Like, Tito is nothing but patient. You're not in the East.
To a fault.
To a fault. However, when Rosario's hitting 275 in August, we're going to say that's where we wanted him to be. I mean, ideally, we'd like him to be even higher than that, but he'll get it. He's a hitter. He didn't forget how to hit. Yeah. He didn't get old.
Same with Jimenez.
Same with Jimenez. Yeah. Ramirez. A lot of people were looking at Jose saying, wow, what's happened to Jose? These guys, now watch them. They're going to all stay hot together at the same time. And if they can turn 7-4 over their last 11 into, say, 20-11 over a 30-game stretch.
They'll have a 10-game lead in the AL Central.
You can run away with this division because no one else is making noise.
I look at it, I think there's a date. Like, in my mind, you know how they talk about it in basketball, you want to cut it to a certain 10 at halftime?
Yep.
I think that they have to be, if they can be in first place within the next
they can be in first place
weeks,
in 2 days, bro.
Like,
they can. Literally 2 days.
They can be in first place by the end of the weekend.
If they can do it by the end of June, think about that.
Yeah,
everything that happened before that don't even matter now.
None of it matters. Nope. None of it matters now. So get these guys hot. You got your pitching staff has already kind of resolved itself, and you know what it is now. Just keep these guys healthy, and let's go.
I want to test your guys' Guardians-Indians knowledge real quick before we move to the next topic. Ramirez became the 8th player since 2000 in a Cleveland uniform to hit 3 home runs in a game. Can you name the other 7?
Oh, my God.
And I'm putting you totally on the spot. I didn't even tell Anthony about this. I found this
Let's go Jim Thome.
Thome did it July 6, 2001.
Okay. Let's go.
And in the chat, if you guys know, drop it in the chat. Anthony will be looking.
Did Lindor?
Lindor did not.
Did Encarnacion do it?
He was the last before Ramirez, May 2nd, 2018.
Okay, so that's 2. There's 7 to do it?
1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 left to guess.
Okay.
Bronk?
Travis Hafner?
Yeah.
Yes, Travis Hafner. July 20th, 2004.
I'm trying to think, like, the years that Ramirez left. He was gone by 2001, I think.
Yeah.
Manny is not on this list.
Yeah, he was gone before that.
Jason Kipnis?
No, there's a couple names that two names you guys should get. Two names that, if you remember, I'll be surprised. Obviously, they were important players, but
yeah. Give me a hint. Give me an initial.
Johnny Peralta?
LC.
Lonnie Chisenhall?
Yep, June 9th, 2014.
Wow. The Chisenator.
SSC.
SSC.
Outfielder. 2010, September 17th, 2010.
SSC?
Hyphenated first name. Of Asian descent.
Oh, Sin Chu.
We forget.
September.
Wow. Chu is nice for about a year and a half.
I know
September
he was.
17th.
And we always thought he was going to have to go back to South Korea to serve his 2-year military commitment.
Didn't they trade him to the Reds?
Rangers, I thought.
Rangers, yeah. He's had a big contract. Two more. A switch hitting catcher. VM.
Oh, Victor Martinez.
Yeah.
And June 19th, 2021, EB.
2021. Oh,
2001. Sorry, 2001.
Oh, I'm about to say
EB. 2021. I don't know.
Ellis Burks.
Oh, Ellis Burks.
Yeah. So to run through real quick, the 8 players since 2001 who have hit 3 home runs in a Cleveland Indians/Guardians uniform: Jose Ramirez, Edwin Encarnacion, Lonnie Chisenhall, Sin-Soo Choo, Travis Hafner, Victor Martinez, Jim Thome, and Ellis Burks.
I got to tell you, there's something special about the multiple homer game. There really is a point where it looks like a beach ball, and you're like, I'm not missing.
Locked in.
I'm not missing today.
In high school, if you get 2 home runs, matter of fact, because they don't even have fences like that in high school.
And a lot of fields do, but many don't.
So when you listen, if you up and you hitting 2 home runs, I used to tell my coach, there's no way. I'm not even looking at you down there. Listen, I will swing at the first pitch fastball.
I swung at 3-0 Saturday. I did. I hit a home run on 3-0 a couple years ago.
Hey,
and I've always said that that's the best pitch in baseball to sit on.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It takes
You know
time.
it's going to be a fastball, and it's going to be right in the crosshairs. Okay, we have to do a read before we change topics, right?
Yeah, but really quick, before we get into our basketball topic, Jonathan Radcliffe in the chat did get Lonnie Chisenhall.
Shout out to Jonathan
Becker
Radcliffe.
For letting me know that. And then I want to remind you guys that we're all going down to the USFL game tomorrow to watch Boogie and the Pittsburgh Maulers play. And you can join us for just $10. You can get great seats, and you can get all of those at USFL.com. They got free shirts, rally towels. Come celebrate pro football down in Akron.
I wonder if people are like, yeah, but it's Pittsburgh. I don't want to go watch a Pittsburgh.
They're playing Michigan.
Team.
So
that's true. So you can root against
Michigan. Yeah.
So it's really like the 2 most hated.
Yeah.
Football city rivalry kind of things that we have.
We got Boogie.
I feel like you can watch
We do have Boogie.
Yeah, I'm going to wear yellow. Boogie comes on. He's awesome.
Boogie's great. We love him. We can hopefully get another TFL. He's among league leaders in tackles for loss this year. Okay. I saw it's not official. The Suns haven't released him yet.
He has not been officially waived.
But they have made public statements that they're moving on from 38-year-old Chris Paul. Do you want him on the Cavs?
Man, so first of all, you said he talked about coming off the bench, right?
Well, he's not going to be a starter on this lineup.
I haven't never seen Chris Paul come off the bench.
Not even on the Olympics.
But you've never seen him play basketball as a 39-year-old.
And I will say this: Chris Paul, look at those numbers. He's really. I think this is this is his Carmelo years. 13.9, or that's for his career, but 13, 14 points a game. Obviously, he's lost a few steps. And to me, Chris Paul was never a guy who was never in tip-top shape. Like, he's always, it seems to be injured at the wrong time.
Especially lately.
Yeah.
Right?
Even early. Even the Clippers, he was hurt. I remember the Clippers had somebody beat. They had Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan.
They were beating the Rockets. They were 3-1.
Hamstring. Then he went to play for the Rockets. He missed the Game 7 against the Warriors. He missed that. He was relatively healthy when he played for the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the Suns, they've been probably the best team in the West the last couple of years. He's been injured. He was injured last game. I don't think I would take Chris Paul. I think he does bring something to the table. But like I told Jason Lloyd, I think the only places that he's thinking about going is L.A.
He wants to win.
He wants to win. He's not going to come here.
And you know, I mean, I know he would love to play with LeBron James. LeBron would probably love to play with him.
Yep.
I mean, I think the question on the surface is laughable because he wouldn't come here.
Ever.
But if you're running the Cavaliers today, are you reaching out to his people or not?
In my opinion, the last thing the Cavs need on a roster with many holes is another undersized guard who can't play defense.
Yep, I agree.
And who's not a great shooter.
And who's old.
Right.
So he had a 19.2 usage rate last year, which was the lowest of his career, but still significantly higher than the league average. He can't really play off the ball. He's still a guy who needs the ball to be at his most effective. So if you bring him in, are you taking the ball out of Darius Garland's hands to put it in Chris Paul's hands?
Well, it would only be here. It would be as a backup.
But I'm just saying, theoretically speaking, if he comes in, who are you taking the ball out of their hands to give to him? Even on the second unit,
right.
At this point, do you really want Chris? He's not.
He's not going to break you down and get all. He doesn't stretch the floor like that.
For him to be effective at this stage of his career, he needs spacing all around the floor.
Yeah.
He's not super quick, and unfortunately for the Cavs, as we learned in the playoff series, barring some significant roster turnover, spacing, especially on the second unit, it doesn't really exist if we're being honest. So, if you could find a way to flip him for Ricky Rubio, like he's going to take those Rubio minutes and you could cut Rubio and snap your fingers and that cap space just magically appears, he's an upgrade over Rubio at that backup point guard spot.
Right.
But I don't think he stylistically, skill-wise, and/or basketball style play fits into what the Cavs need whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it was a case when I first saw the headline. I'm like, wow, because it's Chris Paul. Yeah. It's a name. He's a Hall of Famer.
All-time great.
And you get excited about that, but you have to be really careful. And Cleveland sports teams in general have been guilty of doing this over the years. When you see an available name, and we're doing it right now with DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins is at the same place in his career that Chris Paul is.
Different.
Hopkins clearly has more life in him. But 31 as an NFL wide receiver is sort of 35 to an NBA point guard. And you can't pay for what someone used to be. You can't get enamored by, we have a chance to get Chris Paul. First of all, I don't think they do. But I would pass hardcore on that. And the biggest reason is because this team has a defined area of need. And that's not it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when, if I still think, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, about what move we want to see the Browns make. DeAndre Hopkins would be nice, but I talked to Jim Donovan yesterday. He's like, Jay, this team's wideout core is incredible. Tillman has looked great in OTAs. The kid from the Jets,
more,
has looked great from what Jimmy has been able to see at OTAs. He said Watson has looked incredibly sharp, and he's taking control of the team on the field. It's clearly his show. So I don't want to see the Browns take the bait on a big name, DeAndre Hopkins, in an area that doesn't help them. And it's the same with the Cavs. We've got needs, and I don't think a backup point guard is one of them. So don't be enamored by the big name. Go for what you know you need. You need a shooter. You desperately need a shooter. You need a three. You need things, but Chris Paul isn't one of them.
Yeah, Chris Paul, to me, he has he's going to end up with one of the more interesting resumes when he's done. His legacy of what Chris Paul is, right? He plays in a certain way, and he's notorious for rubbing people the wrong way because of the way he goes about leading and the way he talks and the way he's in that locker room. But I think he knows it as well as everybody else that, there's a couple of guys who get, the only difference between Dwayne Wade and Carmelo and Chris Paul is Dwayne Wade got his out the way. Like, he got his championships. He caught LeBron in his prime, and he led.
Yeah, he won one by himself.
He won one.
Yeah.
But
he was Batman for one of them. He was Robin for the other.
Yeah. So he did it. He was a Finals MVP. So it's a little different. But Chris Paul his resume is going to be up for debate. He's going to end up in the top 3 in assists. The question is, how will they look at him? He's not really a clutch player. He's never really been an MVP. So even when you look at how you go about saying Chris Paul in point guards, Isaiah Thomas, he put up more points than Chris Paul, right? When you take a look at John Stockton, assists, Magic Johnson, you already know what that is, MVP and championships. Steve Nash got two MVPs.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about point guards and like he is a quintessential point guard, start looking at that pecking order, and you might have to get down to about 7 before you start seeing Chris Paul.
I wasn't prepared to have like my top 5 point guards ready like right now, but when you look at Chris Paul's resume, the only thing missing from his resume, he's a lock Hall of Famer, first ballot. That's not debatable.
There's 2 things missing from his resume.
Well, championship.
Yeah.
Are you gonna say MVP as the second one?
Of course.
Well, I just meant he was never gonna be MVP.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about a player being a top 5 at any one position, you better bring one of the 2 to the party, either an MVP or
I wasn't arguing for top 5. I'm just saying when you look at his thing, the one glaring omission on his resume is a ring. He doesn't have one. Now, in his career, Chris Paul has made $328 million just in NBA contracts.
Yeah.
That's not endorsements.
It's a pretty big ring.
A State Farm, he got the State Farm contract.
Right.
He had his own shoes for a while. So my man's made more money than you could ever imagine.
Sure.
And if he wants more money, Chris Paul, go get your money.
Yeah.
It would not shock me if he takes a significant discount to go team up with the Lakers.
Well, I think that's what
or
we're gonna
Boston,
see. Yeah.
or I even think Memphis is a
I read a
sleeper
piece
for him.
yesterday where the Celtics can't make it work.
Well, if he's willing to take a veteran minimum because he's getting his money from Phoenix.
No, but it wasn't even about the money. It was a similar situation that I mentioned with the Cavs. Like, they have some needs, and if you're the Celtics, you're asking one question: who is the player that puts us over the hump? And the answer to that with Chris Paul is he's not it.
Yeah, but they didn't have a real point guard this year. They had a bunch of guys who were quasi point guards.
But here's the thing: in Chris Paul, you're not. Do you have an 82-game point guard?
No.
For the regular season, and a guy you can count on for 4 playoff series? Because that's what they need.
But you don't need him for 82 games in the regular season.
But you're going to need him for 4 playoff series.
He is not,
and that's a high-intensity level of basketball. And I don't think he can survive it.
I don't.
His 38's different than LeBron's 38.
It
is, and it goes back to, we've talked about this many times. Little guards throughout the history of the NBA have very, 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 very sparingly been able to lead a team to a championship.
It happens almost never.
Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, and then you got to go back to like Bob Cousy in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, it is damn near impossible for a little guard to be the best player on a championship team. It's not impossible.
Right.
But it is
and at this
not
point,
easy.
Like at this point in particular, he's partially on the plate. I'm not even going to say he's dessert.
Yeah.
He's third or fourth option at best.
Yeah, so you've got your
now.
entree, and if it's the Lakers, that's still, without question, LeBron James. And I know some people think that Anthony Davis is the guy. He has to be great for them to win a title, but I still think if you take LeBron off that team, they have no chance. So I think it's still LeBron and then AD, and he would be a piece. Yeah. He would definitely, I think LeBron, they've had a great relationship through the years.
And it's the one guy Bron hasn't played with in his franchise.
That he wants to play with.
It's the one guy hasn't.
And I think Chris Paul wants to play with LeBron. To your point, he's going to have to take a significant pay cut to do it.
I think this looks like to enter the Big Three era, like the big names that just go get together in one.
I hope so.
I think Denver is kind of ushering in a new way that you got to think about doing it. Because, you're counting on when you get in these big threes that they gel quickly, then there's no
and they all
want to
stay.
And they all want to stay.
And that doesn't happen.
And then they like the coach. They get there, they fire the coach immediately. They try to figure it out. Then it's like, okay, well, who got to take less shots? The Big Three era has not been successful, if you really think of it, since what? The Heat?
The Heat. Well, and not only
Heat
that,
won
but
2.
Not only that, but with the new salary cap. Boston won 1.
Boston won 1. We thought it would be more.
Heat won 2. I mean, if you want to count.
I mean, Golden State had a big 3.
Yeah, Golden State was.
But they drafted all those people.
And you know what? They drafted them, and I think they were the exception because they were kind of egoless.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, if you look at the personalities that were involved in that, they didn't have this big, dominating KD personality. I think what we've learned from this era is that it can't work with the KD types and the Kyrie types.
Yeah.
Because those
KD
egos and personalities are so big and fragile.
KD won 2 rings, though.
He won 2 rings, but he did it with other great players. What I'm saying is, like, if you're going to build a big 3, you want to find personality types like they had in Golden State.
Yeah.
I just think KD you talk about rubbing people the wrong way, and Chris Paul, like, I think the worm turned on KD when he got busted with his Twitter burner account. Everyone was like, bro, you're that fragile? You're that guy?
I like
you're
that.
Worried. I hated that. That is the most petty shit. Who cares, man? Who cares what people are saying? Everyone's got an opinion.
Here's the thing. LeBron's was different. LeBron couldn't get over, the Boston Celtics beat LeBron before he went to Miami, right?
Right, yeah.
He didn't say, all right, I'm going to go play with Miami. I'm going to play with Boston or Detroit. He didn't say that. He was like, I'll go to Miami and do my thing.
Yeah, I think this rubbed people with KD wrong. Way more than
KD said, I'm going to go join the Warriors.
That rubbed people the wrong way. Yeah, the Twitter
You
stuff.
was up 3-1, and then you were like, and there's like, oh, Kevin Durant's a free agent. Where you going to go? Is he going to stay in Oklahoma City? And all of a sudden, he's like, we're rocking with the That's championship.
You mentioned the Big Three era with this new salary cap and the way the CBA has been agreed upon and signed now, which is in place this year. It's hard to keep 2 stars. Look real quick, look at Boston with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Brown's 1 year older, made second-team All-NBA. He's up for a 5-year, $293 million extension this year. If they sign him to that, and then they sign Jason Tatum next year, who's already been a first-team All-NBA player, it's a 5-year, $297. It's like $5 extra million, whatever. Those two combined be 70% of their salary cap.
Can't do it.
How do you fill out a roster, 10 spots with 30% of your salary cap?
And that's just 2 guys.
And now it used to be Big Three. That took up 3 for 70. Now it's 2. So it's even harder now.
And you know what? I'm good with that. I really am. I'm good with that. And I think it's a smart move by the league because ultimately, when you have these Big Three teams, what it feels like is you're putting too many superstars in one city. The league is big enough. Every team should have a superstar or quasi-superstar player on its roster. If you're putting 2 and 3 of them in one city.
Say what you want. David Stern had it right. I could go down the list of players. The Bulls had Jordan. Celtics had Bird. Cavs, you look.
Lakers had Magic.
Lakers had Magic. Indiana had Reggie Miller. Karl Malone was out in Utah. They had guys in every city that you could say, hey, this was the guy you went to see. And somebody come here, obviously, you home games, away games, you got to see one of the good players. Trailblazers had Clyde Drexler. Olajuwon was in Houston. Now it just seems like there's a conglomerate of them, but I think they're doing a good job of getting that out of the system. And now it's going to look a little more like football. Now you got to win on rookie deals.
Right, you do. That's very important.
You got to win on rookie deals.
And that puts a premium on drafting and developing.
Yep.
And that's the way it should be. And by the way, Denver's done both extremely well. Yep. That's why they're on top of the heap right now.
Yep.
All right, we've got a couple of minutes. Greg Pruitt was slated to join us at noon. We've got you want to do the Njoku topic and the read, or how do you want to do this before we get into Greg?
Let me do the read real quick because I can just remind everybody real fast that you can see your favorite golf legends play in the Colleague Companies Championship July 12th through July 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Fun, family-friendly events all week long featuring a new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every night. There's something for everyone. Learn more at colleaguegolf.com. And then, I think we can do
Njoku quickly on the College Championships. I talked with Matt on Wednesday at length about this tournament. They are so excited about this year's tournament. They're going to make it an event. It's going to be a party. It's not going to be waste management level in Phoenix because that is the single best event in golf right now.
It's not close.
For me, it was always the Masters. Now, if you give me one ticket to a golf event, I'm going to the TPC. Out in Scottsdale, and I'm watching the Waste Management Open. They're trying to do that with this event. They've got a 4-year contract with it. They're going to build it every year. A lot of big things are planned for this year. Paige Spiranek, you guys know who I'm talking about, the Instagram model, big in golf. She's going to come in. She's playing in the Pro-Am on Thursday, I think. The seniors play their Pro-Am on Thursday. She's going to be a huge draw. And also, there's something in the works with Steph Curry. They're trying to get him in on Saturday. He's obviously got ties to Akron. He's born in Akron. So they're working on getting him in for Saturday. But there are also other big names. Music every night, top-notch music acts. It's going to be really cool. David Njoku, named by PFF, right? Top 10 tight end. He was number 10. Yes. Did they get that right?
So I go through the list, and they did it by tiers. The first tier was elite tight ends. Second tier was elite potential, but good right now. And then third was good, could be great in the right situation. they had Taysom Hill ahead of him, which I thought was silly. Like, I don't know how. I mean, Taysom Hill's more versatile, but is he really even a tight end?
Is he a tight end?
They had Darren Waller at 11, who I think when Darren Waller's healthy is higher. So, like, I think he's in that 8 to 10 range. If you want to tell me he's a couple spots too low or spot or two high,
you're good with that.
I'm not going to argue. I went through the stats. He's between 8 and 12 in every statistical category. Yep. Yeah. I think he's in the right tier. If you want to argue him to be 2 spots ahead, sure. If you want to argue to be 2 spots lower, I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah.
But I think he's right in the right range.
Where do you have him?
10 is fine with me. But what I would like to say is, let's not forget he was a first-round pick.
He was a first-round pick.
He's also the 6th highest paid tight end heading.
And he's getting a boatload of money. If any year was the year that he should decide to actually do something, I think he's pivotal this year.
It's time.
It's like there shouldn't be no excuses. There shouldn't be any. Listen, you weathered the storm. You became a better blocker. You got your money. You're secure. You got your hair's longer. You got the nice cars. I want to see you put up. This is the year. Can we get 1,000? Can we get it? Like, Kellen Winslow put up 1,000, and he wasn't.
Travis Kelce's getting 1,200.
1,300 in 17 games. This is the year we would like to do it. And if he is, and here's another thing too. We talk about DeAndre Hopkins a lot. If they got the 5th or 6th highest paid tight end, that's a pass catcher, that's that fast, that athletic, he should be saying, well, we don't need DeAndre Hopkins. You got me. I'm going to get 1,000 yards.
Right,
I'm a guy that could be able to help out.
Yeah, we mentioned the improving wide receiver room. You've got.
He's a big piece of that.
A guy. He's top. I thought he was number 4 in contract terms for tight end.
The cap hit for 2023, he's 6th.
Yeah, but moving forward. So, and that was when I answered this question. I said, he's number 10 for me. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But because to your point on the stats, he's 8th in receptions. Okay, that's where you want him to be. 10th in targets, 8th in yards. But here's where things get really wonky for me. He's tied for 11th with 8 other guys with 4 touchdowns. And so we talked about this last year at this time when he got the extension. Did we like it?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the fold. I like it. I said at the time, I don't like it. I'd like to keep him on the team. Why would you drastically overpay for that position? Why? I know it's a position that Stefanski is enamored with, but here's the facts of the matter, just the pure hard facts. And this is why I think his time here so far has been a disappointment. It could all change this year. If they use him the way I think they will and they should, he should be 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, maybe 10. He should be a pivotal piece of this offense. However, when you compare him to the bar, who's the standard? Easily. Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, his contract, 4 years, $57 million. Njoku, 4 years, $54 million.
Yeah.
He's making Travis Kelce money. Yeah. Here's where the rubber meets the road.
It hurts.
Here's where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
Kelce, 2 times the number of receptions. Mm-hmm. Kelce, 2 times, more than 2 times the yards.
Yep.
3 times the touchdowns. For every touchdown Njoku scores, Kelce scores 3. And these men are paid the same amount of money?
In his career, or that was just last year?
That was last year.
Oh. Last year, you do not want to compare the
careers. It gets worse. Two things on Njoku, the contract, and my memory of him. With all the weapons that Deshaun Watson has on the outside now, I don't think his targets or receptions or yards will go up significantly. I think what we saw last year makes sense when I look at the grand scheme of their entire passing attack. However, the receiving touchdowns makes a difference. And I think in the red zone, that's where he's going to make his money. He had 58 receptions last year, 648 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Right.
If he has 60 catches, 650 yards, and 9-10 touchdowns,
yes,
we are looking at David Njoku in a completely different light.
I'm fine with that.
And let me tell you why. Jordan Akins, the tight end they brought in from Houston, he had 5 touchdowns last year. Njoku
he had more
4.
touchdowns than Njoku.
Which, different situations.
Of course.
Different amount of weapons. It's not apples to apples. But in the red zone, Deshaun Watson has always utilized his tight ends well. And that's where I think David Njoku will be most efficient and, by the way, that in this Browns offense.
Should have been 5 touchdowns.
And that was my last point.
And it should have been another win and 1 fewer losses if he catches the ball against the Saints.
When Anthony said this topic, the first thing I thought of, Njoku top 10, and it hurt me. Because the one memory I can't get out of my head with Njoku is dropping the pass in the freezing cold with the wind from Watson, which would have changed for better or worse, fair or not, because it's not fair to Watson. How much different do we look at those 6-game stretch for Watson?
If he's 4-2 instead of 3-3.
If he's 4-2 with 8 touchdowns, it's literally one difference, but they're 4-2 on a well-thrown ball in the end zone that hit Njoku in the hands, they didn't win the game. It literally changes, and it changes 50% of the conversation we have on the show.
Those are the plays that seasons are made and broken on.
Yeah.
Those plays, right there.
He has to make that play.
Every team in the league is a play or two from being in the playoffs.
2 wins better, two wins worse.
And so with this, and that's been the rub for me on David Njoku. You look at him and you're like,
this guy could be a stud.
This dude jumped 7 feet in the high jump in high school.
Yeah.
You look at him and you're like, well, if I'm going into the lab and I'm going to build a tight end, he's going to look like David Njoku.
Exactly like Njoku.
Then you look at his production and you look at what he's done on the field. He had one of the top 10 catches last year in the NFL by most people's count. I know when the NFL Network or whoever counted them down,
didn't have it in there.
He wasn't in there. I think, was it the catch against Washington?
It was the one against Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Fourth down in the end zone, one hand,
and so
bring it back in.
Here's what frustrates me about him. He's that guy. He can be that guy.
Yeah.
So that's his ceiling.
Yeah.
His floor is the drop against the Saints that would have won the game.
It kills me.
And that's a huge gap. Travis Kelce's ceiling and floor are like this much apart.
Yeah.
On his bad day, he's still a great tight end.
G, let me ask you a question. So, we'll go fantasy football-wise to make a point about real football. Tight end position, there's like 2 guys that you have to draft. Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kittle, and the rest, it's a crapshoot every week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you take a flyer, hey, the Titans have a great matchup, I'm going to pick up the Titans tight end. Would you rather have a guy who's boom or bust, or a consistent guy at tight end in the current formation and structure of this Browns offense?
Man, give me a consistent. Because here's the thing. If I know that you're going to catch the football, I know that now I can attack all different types of the field. Like, not just 1 or 2 routes. For me, they don't even really send him on some of the vertical routes that Kelce gets, like some of the deep over routes, some of the other things. You don't see them doing that. He mainly runs a couple routes where he's going 5, maybe 7 yards, sitting down in the zone, trying to catch the ball on quick, dump offs. But I'd rather have a consistent guy because I know the consistent guy going to catch the ball in the end zone. I know the consistent guy is not going to have holding penalties. I know the consistent guy is also going to make the routine catch as well as making some of those difficult catches. And, down this year, it's just the team, this is such a pivotal year. I know we say it a lot of times, but this really is a year you're really going to have you're going to have to make a decision about what you are. Because if they don't play well, there's going to be mass changes. Because they have a lot of contracts for a lot of people that is kind of questionable. Questionable, can you pay 2 guards like that?
Sure.
Questionable if you overpaying for David Njoku as a vertical threat when he's really, he might be medium. You're paying a running back a lot of money. You're playing an aging receiver and Amari Cooper $20 million as supposed to. And by the way, they'll look at Denzel Ward too for his production. He's getting paid like a top 2-3 corner in the league, and they had his ratings come out. He's down at 13 or 14, and he's getting $100 million. So you look at all of these different things and all of these different areas, there's a lot of people making a lot of money on this team. And if they don't perform well, they're going to have to start tearing some of that house
down. The way
down.
we look at players in the NFL is commensurate with what their pay is. And oftentimes, you mentioned it earlier, teams in the NBA are going to have to start winning on rookie deals.
Yes, yep.
And the NFL is very much that way. When you look at when the Seahawks won their Super Bowl, they had their quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yep.
So they were able to spread a lot of that money out in other positions.
Eagles last year.
The problem with David Njoku is his paycheck. If he was a middle-of-the-road guy in terms of salary, you wouldn't have these high expectations. But when you pay a guy elite money at a position, you need that player to be a Pro Bowler. You need that player to be an All-Pro. You need that player to be a difference maker. My hope for what the Browns are going to do this year on offense is they're going to use Njoku to move the sticks and to score 6 in the red zone. That's what you want your big tight end to do. Mm-hmm. You want, and by the way, he's a big athletic tight end. His catch radius is insane.
Enormous.
He has a great athletic ability. A lot of your tight ends, not so much anymore, they used to be, but some of your tight ends still in the league are the big, slow plotters. But they got great hands and they're going to move the sticks.
Yeah.
He's a guy with this great physical set of skills, and we're waiting on him. What are we now with Njoku? Year 6?
5.
Doesn't he have 5 seasons in the can?
This will be 5.
I think they drafted
I
him.
thought this is going to be his 6th season. Anthony, can you look that up?
They drafted him the year they got Peppers. They drafted
Okay,
him.
so he's got
Yeah.
at least 5 full seasons in the league.
I think this is his 6th year.
So
I'll tell you 1 second.
at some point, potential's great. You know, you need to have potential. But for me, potential will keep you in the league 3 years.
Yep.
If potential hasn't turned into performance,
This is actually going to be his
This is
7th
seventh
season.
season.
7th year. Okay,
That's
guys.
absurd. He's been in the league
Guys,
that long.
been in the league
It's
almost 10
time.
years.
I mean, it's time for David Njoku to be a breakout. You mentioned earlier, and you were right, the top 3 names in the tight end game. Why isn't he in there? And you can ask 100 NFL fans to name the top 3 tight ends. None of them are going to name David Njoku. But he's paid as a top 3 or top 4 tight end.
He's been in the league 10
I
years.
can't believe he's been. This will be his 7th year.
It's time.
Oh.
It is time
He's
for
still-
him.
Like, he was drafted
to
my
deliver.
sophomore year of college. And I've been out of college now for 5.
It
so,
feels like
yeah.
he's been on the breakout star list for like
That's my point.
12 years
We
now.
keep saying this is the year that he's going to, rise to the top.
Jabril Peppers I think he might be out of the league.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 years is twice the span of an average NFL career.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and you're talking about a guy who just last year got a contract that I think at the time made him either the number 1 or number 2 paid tight end in the game. It's more than time. I like David, I really do, and I think he can be a real difference maker in this offense. I'm excited because when I talked to Jim yesterday, he never sugarcoats anything. He just gives it to me straight. This is how the conversation started. Jay, your football team looks really good right now.
Yeah, we talked about it
They
on
look really good right now.
on Wednesday.
Tyvis came in and said Sean Watson looked like Brady.
Yeah,
And then Darryl Ryder doubled down and said, I've never seen a Browns quarterback play like that. And then Jason Lloyd said, I'm trying to think of another quarterback, maybe Dan Marino. I said, dang, dog. I said, he looked cold like that. He said, man, look.
Now, 7-on-7, you're supposed to look good.
You're supposed
but still, but there are levels to good.
Right.
There are
There
levels to looking good in situations where we're supposed to look good.
Yeah.
If we all, I'll use this, if we all went and just shot hoops, and I make 7 to 10 threes and we're just shooting around, that's good.
Yes.
But then you see someone who really is really, really good,
that don't
and they
miss
make
for
10.
half hour.
They make 10 of 10, and then they make 10 of 10 more, and then they make 9 of 10. Next thing you know, they're
Yeah.
48 of 50.
Yeah.
And there's different levels to that.
There-
And
there are.
From all reports, Deshaun Watson was the 48 of 50, good on Tuesday.
Yeah, now, I did hear early in the OTAs he was
He was looking bad. He was looking terrible.
horrible.
That's what people were saying. He was looking terrible.
Like,
They was
I mean,
spooked.
I had 3 different reporters that were going to that saw him in the OTAs definitively say they're ready to acknowledge that this was a major mistake. So how we went from where we were there 2 weeks ago to now where he's looking like Tom Brady. So here's the thing. And I'm an old man. I'm grizzled. I'm 195 pounds of scar tissue, okay? So excuse me for being old and crusty. But here's my new mantra, and I turned this leaf a couple of years ago. Show me the baby.
Yeah.
Don't tell me about the labor. I don't want to hear about the labor. It's tough. It's tough for everybody. They're working hard. They're supposed to work hard. They're paid a lot of money. They better be lifting weights. They better be making workout videos. You don't get free points because you're in the gym. You're supposed to be doing that, okay? All 31 of the other guys are doing that. Show me the baby.
I think.
And the baby is winning 12 games. That's what I want. And then you know what? I'll be the first to stand up and say, this dude is awesome.
Yeah.
But I can't anoint him as the next Tom Brady or the next Dan Marino off OTAs.
Yeah, no, there's
Win football games when they matter, and I am going to be as on board as anybody. But right now, I'm so scarred. It's like I'm from Missouri. Their state motto is, show me. They're the show me state. I live in a state of show me with Cleveland sports. I was told by the experts that the Cavs are going to make a playoff run.
And you know what?
They went out and got Donovan Mitchell. Show me.
And you know what? Just like, Jay said, that's the show me state, Missouri, right? And you know what they say about Missouri, right? Misery loves company.
That's right.
Slow it down. Missouri.
I like it's good. I mean, the thing with the practice.
I just want to see the results. I'm glad he looks great. But 2 weeks ago, I was getting reports from people saying, "Oh my God, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn." now all of a sudden,
we all heard the same thing with practice too. Like what he does in practice, as G said, it's culture, it builds habits. You'd much rather see him be very good in practice than
absolutely.
Bad. So,
but you don't get bonus points.
But we all take it with a grain of salt. Just take everything with a grain of salt. There are bad in practice.
And look, I understand your enthusiasm, particularly you young folks. Gee, you're kind of in the middle now. You still drinking the Kool-Aid, and you want to believe this. But what I'm saying is I've wanted to believe this for 50 years. I've wanted to believe that, this is our year. And I'm always disappointed. So now I'm the kid who put his hand on the stove 50 years in a row. Yeah. I knew it was hot, but I still did it. And now I'm not going to put my hand on the stove.
And let's not get it twisted. I was one of the guys that said at the end of the year, I was so mad because I felt like they punted on the season. And at the end of the day, I was so mad that once again that they were 7-10. Like, you came in last place when the Steelers were breaking in new quarterbacks and all kind of other stuff,
and still finishing 500
higher than you,
with a winning record.
So that I totally get that. So there's a part of me that says, nah, we're gonna have to see that. We're gonna have to feel that.
But then you get caught up in the moment.
Yes, and then when you see people catching the football and you see an offense that you may not have seen before, that's why I love Jay, is pressure. Because pressure at anything, whether you work in a job or whether you're in an office, whether you're doing, it's something different. You ever have that feeling when you be working a job and they say, guys, your boss says, hey, I need y'all to get y'all stuff together today. Yeah. Corporate's here.
Yep. Yeah.
District manager here.
There's a different vibe in the room.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
You see them coming from down the cubicles. They walking in, you're like, oh, that's the big dog. He from corporate. They came from California. They over here looking at, productivity is down over here over the last. This is supposed to be the best shop. This was the best guys. So when you start seeing that, you in your cubicle, you get there early. You be there about 30 minutes early. You done cleaned up your desk. You ain't got no papers out. You going around touching base with your associates that report to you. Now you telling your associates, hey, I need you, hey, don't you come in here with them leggings on no more. Hey, hey, you better have that collared shirt. And listen, and stop getting up going to this break room. They looking around like, why G. Bush's people always up and moving? This is real life facts, stories. Why G. Bush? Your boss come to you, hey, why are you guys always in there? Do they got break time? Why they always in there?
Yeah.
You see, like, it's just one of them things. And now the Browns, they got that same level of pressure. They had to get 2 new coaches. They had, you look at it, the fact that you got Deshaun Watson, who is under extreme pressure. The coaches is under pressure. And guess what? You got the AFC North. All 3 games, first 3 out of 4 in a bye week. Yep. That's a recipe for getting fired.
I love that, G.
I love the pressure. I love it on these boys.
Show me.
So Greg Pruitt was supposed to join us at 12.
Yeah.
It is 12:17. We haven't heard from Greg Pruitt, but I can tell you, I'm a little hesitant to tease any guests, considering we had a guest that was supposed to be on 17 minutes ago, and we've not been able to make contact with him. But I just got a text. Greg Newsom's going to be on the show Tuesday.
Wonderful.
What?
He's promoting his softball charity event. So
that's right. That's coming up.
The 24th,
yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
So Greg Newsom.
Good.
Now, once again, just like practice, good or bad, take it with a grain of salt, because we were supposed to have a guest 18 minutes ago, and we don't know where he is. But Greg Newsom told us he will come on the show on Tuesday at noon.
Yeah.
So,
now, Greg Pruitt,
also,
we're still waiting for. He could call in. We don't know.
Also, we have Greg Newsom and Gilbert Arenas on Tuesday, by the way.
No kidding.
Gilbert locked in, yeah. So that's going to be a show of all shows Tuesday.
Hey,
Greg
Gilbert
Newsom.
Arenas was on Cold Pizza a couple times.
Oh,
that dude
I love
was
him.
off the charts.
If you have not
TV.
seen him, Gilbert Arenas has probably, I don't know how many podcasts he got, but he's kicking knowledge.
He's a media star, man.
He's kicking crazy now. And what I love about him most is he don't hold nothing back. He be talking.
No.
He be saying it real.
No, he'll say some crazy
He'll
shit.
say crazy stuff like how he feel about it. Like,
stuff.
you know what I mean? He definitely.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. That's great.
That'll be a good show. And Ant, we got a new game you want to break out, so let's.
And before we get
play.
to the game, though, I want to remind everybody real quick that you can see your favorite golf legends play in the Colleague Companies Championship July 12th through July 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Fun, family-friendly events all week long featuring a new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every single night. There's something for everyone. Learn more at colleaguegolf.com.
Anthony, real quick, I did not get the news of Liv broke. You weren't here.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
Thunderstruck.
Like, because to me, there is a lot. And you hear McElroy talking?
Yeah, and I don't blame him.
These guys is not, they're like, this is no happily ever after.
No.
We're not inviting these guys back in. And a lot of the Liv guys that took the money was like, well,
Nah,
we got the money now, we back in here.
Jay Monahan's the biggest. I'm going to choose my words lightly, but no.
In my view, I don't see how he survives this. I talked to somebody
He's already dead.
Wednesday, and they're like, no, he's entrenched. And I'm like, I don't see how.
There's no way.
I mean, every single one of the players want him gone. They feel like
he lied
to them,
to their face.
This is more about money. It's about ego.
Yeah.
So you've got Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, some of the biggest names in the game, that basically said to the PGA Tour, we don't like the way you're doing business. We don't like how you restrict us. We're going to go over to this other entity and we're going to make boatloads of money. And they're like, okay, cool. Enjoy your life, but you're out of our life.
And you're going to be a pariah.
So
you're exiled. All
of the guys that rallied around the PGA, and this was a common mantra I heard from many of them. I've never had to apologize for being a member of the PGA. I've never had to apologize for that. You now have guys taking large sums of money who are now taking money from an entity that is currently on trial for 9/11 in the United States.
Yeah.
Jay Monahan told the people who went to Live, if you take this money, you have 9/11 blood on your hands.
That's exactly
His exact words,
That's
and this
exactly
is not me, this has been reported many times.
Yep.
He told those golfers, if you take the Saudi money, you have 9/11 blood on your hands.
And now he
less
does
than
too.
2 years later, he's getting the biggest cut.
And by the way, this one of the fascinating things, the money world in golf is really complicated. It's very complicated. I read something, I didn't see it at the time, but I read it within this past week. The players now, yes, they're all going to be tainted. Their reputations are going to be tainted. These guys are coming back with 8 figures and with 9 figures.
Right.
In some of them, $100 million in their pockets. And they've got the reputation ding, but they also got $100 million in their bank account. And then you've got guys like Rory who said, I don't ever want to play with these guys, ever. That's the equivalent of, because they're teammates, really.
Yeah.
They're all in this together. Now he's going to have to wait until the first time Koepka has to walk in a final Sunday pairing with Rory. And that will happen.
Yep.
That will happen. They're top players. They're going to be on the top of the leaderboard. They're going to be paired together. Wait until the random pairings of a regular PGA Tour event or a major comes out. And on Thursday, you've got Phil Mickelson, Brooks Koepka, and Rory McIlroy. Yeah. Like, I don't know how this is going to go.
And don't they get kind of exonerated? Like, think about it. I took $200 million, but then the same entity, the PGA, comes back and says, I want some of that money too.
Yeah. And so, and here's the biggest part of this. So now, they have the stain of going and playing for the Saudi money.
But so does the
PGA now, and so do all of the other PGA players, because Rory came out yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or maybe Wednesday, and made a comment, well, you know what, I'd rather have that Saudi money be our enemy be our friend than our enemy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at 2, he's going to do that. It's crazy.
And the people who came out the biggest winners are the guys that took the Saudi money now are back in the PGA.
Have you guys seen the meme where it said the Live players walking into the clubhouse for their first PGA event? And it's got the dance music and their faces are all on the guys that are come dancing in. And it was Mickelson's face and Koepka's face. I watched it 10 times and laughed harder every time I watched it.
Anthony, let's play this new game, man.
Yeah, so let me explain the rules to you guys really quick. I'm going to give you 4 pieces of information, and you have to guess the player. You are a collective team out there.
Okay, what sport?
We're doing running backs today.
Oh, running
backs. These are all active running backs.
Got it.
If you can't get it with the 4 pieces of information I give you, I have 2 extra hints that I can give you guys.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, so our first player, he has 4,726 yards, He's got 38 touchdowns. He's in the NFC, and he's a 2-time Pro Bowler.
He's there right now?
He's in the NFC currently.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Saquon.
Does he have that many touchdowns? No, it's not Saquon Barkley. It's not Saquon Barkley.
Alvin Kamara?
No.
Wrong again?
No.
We're just talking out loud. We'll give you a final. We'll give you a final answer. 38 touchdowns in the NFC.
Is Leonard Fournette?
Yeah.
He's still on. Is he on the Buccaneers roster?
No, he's technically. Do free agents count, Anthony?
Yes, but it is not.
It's not
the guess
Leonard
that you
Fournette.
had.
Not Leonard. Okay.
This he is here. I'll give you one hint. He's a starter right now on his team.
Is it Christian McCaffrey?
I think he has more.
He has more than yards.
Yeah, but he's been hurt. Yeah, let's go with Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey. That's a good guess.
touchdowns
Christian
is a
I
lot.
think that's a
Steve,
good one.
can we take the answer because it is in fact Christian McCaffrey?
Nice,
Yeah,
bro.
it is.
Well
Yeah,
done.
it is.
Yeah, you
Well
would
done,
think that he
G.
would have played more than 2 Pro Bowls.
but he been hurt
he's
whole
missed
years.
large stretches of seasons, and that takes him out.
I was like, that's a
really.
lot of touchdowns, though. Like,
Yeah,
it
that
was
is
a
a
lot
lot
of
of touchdowns, and I think that was what kind of gave it away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our next contestant has
he's good, man.
6,341 yards, 48 touchdowns. He's in the AFC, and he's a 4-time Pro Bowler.
That's not Nick Chubb, is it?
That actually
Might be Chubb.
might be Chubb.
Might be Chubb.
Because I think Derrick Henry got more
I would say
yards.
Derrick Henry
Yeah, I
has
think
more
Henry
yards.
has more yards too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I think Chubb.
I feel
I'm
like
guessing
that's Nick
Chubb.
Chubb.
I'm gonna guess Chubb.
We locking in Nick Chubb?
Yeah.
lock it in.
All right, you guys are 2-0.
Nice.
Yeah.
Henry has more yards. I feel
Definitely
like.
more yards.
Yeah, definitely.
We got some big hitters in here. So our next contestant has 8,335 yards, 78 touchdowns.
That
That's
could be
Derrick-
Derrick.
Also in
That's
the
Derrick
AFC.
Henry.
That's Derrick Henry.
Well, all right. Yeah, that
that's
one,
Derrick.
he stuck out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
that's
should have
that
replaced
guy.
him with Dobbins, but I used Dobbins on
He got
Mike to test
78
this yesterday.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
been.
he's been around for longer
He's
than
been
you
a
think.
beast, man.
I mean, as far as being decorated, go back and look at Derrick Henry's high school stats.
Oh, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your entire
And
life.
then go back and look at Alabama when he won the Heisman.
He's been that guy everywhere.
He's got 2,000 yards at every level. I don't think that's ever happened.
Well,
2,000
Has
yards.
he rushed for 2,000 in the NFL?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did. He had a 2,000-yard season.
Yeah.
Did he?
Derrick Henry, didn't he?
Let me check real quick.
I think I think he might be the only player to rush for 2,000 yards at every level. Maybe
Yeah, I want to
O.J.
say
Simpson,
I want to say he went over 2,000.
2020, he had 2,027 yards.
Yeah, he did.
You know, I wish he would have had 7 yards less.
Yeah, right.
2020 and 2020.
It's crazy.
That
He
would've
had
been nuts.
378 carries that season.
Oh yeah, but, well, remember they were carrying him like 40 times a game late in the season.
And he
it was
still-
like this guy's getting the ball every time and they can't stop him.
He
Hey,
still averaged
he was-
5.4 yards a carry.
Yeah, he's one of the greats of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got
Derrick
a chance.
Henry will, when he's done,
He has a chance to make the Hall of Fame.
and his body.
Oh,
you
he's
know,
a Hall of Famer right now, I think.
He's like, oh, he is a Hall of Famer. The way he's built. Do you guys remember the picture when
He's standing next to Mark Ingram?
he was standing next to Mark Ingram, and they were
Yeah.
both Heisman Trophy winners at Alabama, and you're like, one's like 5'8",
It's like me standing next to G.
and
Bush.
Derrick Henry was almost, it looked like a foot
He's
taller than him.
6'4".
It looked like his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I think, weren't they honorary captains
at
for a
the
national
national
championship
championship.
game?
Yep.
One of my favorite pictures, Henry. He just looked
And
so much
Henry's-
bigger than Ingram.
In the picture, Henry's closer to the lens than Ingram is, so it's even a more
Yeah,
of an illusion.
I know. That's why it looks
But-
like he's his dad.
But even in real life, take out the illusion.
Yeah,
one
it's-
is a massive human being, and one's just a large.
Browns
Yeah.
fans will remember this. One of my favorite memories from the playoff year was the Browns 8-3 going against the Titans 8-3.
Oh yeah.
And in that year, like there was 3 or 4 teams that was vying because we still had to win the last game, and they went into Tennessee, and it's probably one of the best games I've seen the Browns play. They smoked them, like Baker played great. Jarvis Landry played good. Donovan Peoples-Jones had the long touchdown bomb.
The good old days.
It was we was rolling.
Something just hit me. Where is Greg calling from?
I'm not sure.
I
He
wonder,
hasn't answered.
Did you guys have a conversation about Central Time versus Eastern Time?
Steve Becker set it
Yeah,
up.
this was not
so
me or
we-
Mike booking this one.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know where Greg calls home.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's, I don't know that he's back in Oklahoma. If he is,
If he calls in during overtime,
Well,
Yeah,
Well,
well,
on for our
I
members.
wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't call in at 1 o'clock ready to do an interview.
Like,
so members, You might get a special guest on Overtime today. We'll
exactly
see.
Right. Yeah.
Next one. Anthony.
All right, next one, guys. This person has 3,841 yards, 33 touchdowns, is also in the AFC, and is a one-time Pro Bowler.
I think I know who this is. I think it's Josh Jacobs.
It might be him. Josh, 3,000.
Because he had like 700 yards this year, but he
33. That's a lot.
The 33 touchdowns seems high for Jacobs.
What about Joe Mixon?
Could be Mixon.
Mixon's a good guess too.
But God, the 33 touchdowns. This is a guy that scores a lot. Doesn't necessarily. I mean, that's a touchdown for every.
Could be Austin Eckler. But I feel like he's more than a one-time.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
Because Eckler does score a lot, but doesn't get a ton of yards to throw so many.
Taylor.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go with Taylor because he had one big year.
He's only been in the league 2 years, though.
No, he's been in 3 years.
3 years?
33 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. It means in the AFC.
All right, before we lock it in, give us a division.
AFC South.
Yeah, let's go with Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's Jonathan Taylor.
I
thought I almost had you guys there.
Yeah,
for
I
a
was
second.
pretty sure it was Jonathan Taylor, but the South that cemented it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, guys, you ready for our next
By
one?
the way, Steve just texted home is in Ohio for Greg Pruitt, so it wasn't a time snafu. I don't know.
All right, our next player, he has 4,740 yards, 40 touchdowns, is once again in the AFC, and is a two-time Pro Bowler.
Could this be Eckler?
This could be Mixon.
Could be Mixon.
It could be either or. It could be Mixon
or Eckler. 40 touchdowns for Austin Eckler is. Well, if he had.
He's literally in touchdowns
and Joe
2 years in
Mixon
a row,
catches the
though.
ball a lot too.
Yeah, I think it could be Mixon.
4,740.
So Eckler definitely has at least 2 Pro Bowls. Does Mixon have 2 Pro Bowls? I think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if he does. You want to go with Eckler then? Because
I feel good it's one of the 2.
I do too.
Is this total touchdowns or just rushing touchdowns?
This is total. This is total
I bet
career
it's
yards,
Eckler
total
then.
career
Yeah.
touchdowns.
I'll go Eckler.
Yeah.
You're locking in Eckler?
Yeah.
I got you guys. It's Josh Jacobs.
Oh,
That's
it is
Josh
Jacobs. We
Jacobs.
mentioned him earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he made.
40 touchdowns.
Yeah, 40
Yeah.
surprised me
Right.
too when I was putting this together yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, Chubb has 48.
Well, Jacobs had the season this year was stupid.
Yeah, it
like
was.
as good as Nick Chubb was this year.
Yeah, Jacobs was.
Josh Jacobs
actually had
was
more yards
better
than
than
him.
How could I lose? I had everybody in fantasy.
I know you had such a good team.
How did I lose?
All right, you guys ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right, so this person has 8,262 yards, 68 touchdowns, in the NFC, and a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Is that Kamara?
Zeke.
Oh, yeah. I bet it's Zeke.
Yeah.
Wait, he says he's in the NFC. Technically, Zeke is a free agent.
But Anthony did say free agents counted. So NFC the last year he played.
Yeah, that's got to be either
feel like
Zeke.
Is this total touchdowns?
Yeah, total touchdowns.
I'm trying to think who's in the NFC that's been
8,000 yards.
That's a lot
that means you close to 10,000 yards, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Zeke is that close to. That's a lot of yards, man.
Who else has been
the Vikings running back that's
Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook.
No.
He doesn't have that many
No.
touchdowns,
Nope.
does he?
No, he has 43 touchdowns in the last 4 years because I'm going to bring up that stat in the next topic.
That's
I know it's not
Okay,
him.
let
not
you guys, are you guys good with?
I feel like
with Zeke?
I don't feel good about it, but that's my 3 Pro Bowls. That's my bet. I don't know.
I
Zeke's
think
my
it's-
guess.
I feel like Zeke would be in more Pro Bowls.
But 8,200 yards. That's a. Alvin Kamara got a lot of yards. Is this rushing yards or combined yards?
This is rushing yards.
Oh, okay. Alvin Kamara
I think Zeke.
Zeke
All right,
Elliott.
lock in Zeke.
You got to have more confidence in yourself, Mike. It is, in fact, Zeke.
All right,
There
here we
we
go.
go.
Okay.
It was scary because I'm like, did he got that many yards? I mean, his first couple years, he did have 1,500.
And he
The
is
Cowboys are not opposed to bringing him back. I read yesterday.
because no one else wants to.
Maybe that was
They might get him
interesting.
for $1 million.
Doesn't it always seem like the Cowboys always have somebody that they never ride out into the sunset? Like Amari Cooper, Dez Bryant, Zeke Elliott.
Did Tony Dorsett finish his career in Dallas?
I don't think.
I have a vague remembrance of him playing somewhere else at the end.
Emmitt Smith played somewhere else.
Did he?
He played
Yeah,
for
he
the
played for
Cardinals.
Arizona.
Oh, that's right. He did. He went to the Cardinals. I haven't got one of his Cardinals jerseys.
Like, yeah, it was, yeah, like they never seemed to send people out. Like Terrell Owens even was out after a while. He's like, yeah, we done.
Yeah.
And what's next?
All right, guys, we're going to go through these next ones like a little bit faster, but this person has 3,609 yards, 26 touchdowns, is in the NFC, but has never been to a Pro Bowl.
That's probably Saquon.
Yeah, I think it is Barkley.
Okay. I'm okay with
Gonna
that.
lock in Saquon?
Yeah.
It is David Montgomery.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's
dirty.
That's a dirty one.
Yeah.
I would, in a million years, would not have guessed David.
I wonder.
I felt Saquon made a Pro Bowl. I'm pretty sure Saquon made one.
Did he make a Pro Bowl?
Yeah. His
Maybe
rookie
an
year, he was.
alternate.
His rookie year, he was exceptional.
Yeah. Then he tore his ACL.
And then towards
right?
ACL, yeah. But his rookie year was definitely a Pro
Yeah,
Bowl
we should
year.
have paused on that one. I wouldn't have got.
I wouldn't have got Montgomery.
I would have never picked him.
All right.
He ruined my fantasy team 2 years ago, so I had to put him on the line. All right, this next player, 5,135 yards, 49 touchdowns, in the NFC, but is a five-time Pro Bowler.
Is that Eckler?
I'm gonna guess Aaron.
Or not Eckler. Kamara.
That is
Oh, that
Alvin
could be
Kamara.
Kamara. Yeah, I
Yep.
like Kamara.
I feel good about Kamara.
Yeah.
Gonna lock in Kamara for
Kamara.
that one?
Yep.
You guys are correct. That is
All right.
Alvin Kamara.
Very good.
Yep.
We're batting like 800 here.
Yeah, we
I think
doing
we're
all
like-
right.
Yeah, no, you've only
7,
gotten 2
9,
wrong.
8 of 10,
Maybe I made it
something
too
like
easy. All right, our ninth question, 4,000 yards, 4,249 yards, 29 touchdowns, NFC as well, 2-time Pro Bowler.
Now, is this finally Austin Eckler coming off the
No,
board?
NFC. What?
Yeah.
Aaron Jones in Green Bay.
Like it. I like that. I like Aaron Jones.
What about Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin
Oh,
Cook.
that. Well,
I would think Cook would have more
Has more yards than
touchdowns
that.
and more yards.
So Dalvin Cook, what year is he in?
He's got to be in 7.
Because he had 4,300 yards
When
over
did he
his
come
life.
out of? Was he a Florida State guy?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was Jimbo's last guy for. I feel like he has more yards, but
I
Dalvin
did
Cook
too.
in the last 4 years, Dalvin Cook has 4,300
Wait, let's think
yards.
Green Bay now for a second.
That's Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
who I
Did
mentioned.
somebody say Aaron Jones?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
hear.
I
Okay.
think this is Aaron Jones.
Yeah, let's go with Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
You guys are gonna lock in Aaron Jones?
Yeah.
You're wrong. That is Saquon Barkley.
Oh wow.
That
He
is
has
Saquon.
two
He's made
Pro
2
Bowls?
Pro Bowls.
Was he a Pro Bowler this year too?
I think so. According to Wikipedia, he's a 2-time Pro Bowler.
You know, the
I didn't
Pro Bowls
check,
are
I can go
tough,
check what
like-
years. Give me 1 second.
Like-
no, it was this year in his rookie year. It had to be.
Who made the Pro Bowl? At quarterback.
Tyler Huntley.
What's that?
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, made the Pro Bowl this year, and he had like a losing record and more interceptions than touchdowns.
Trash.
Pro Bowl.
That got.
All right.
I should have got Saquon. That's on me.
So you guys have 3 wrong,
All right.
and then we'll see if you can get 7 right. You're 6 and 3. Last one.
All right.
3,727 yards, 34 touchdowns, plays in the AFC, and has 0 Pro Bowl appearances.
I think Eckler's been
That's
a Pro
a-
Bowler. I think he's
I
been
don't
a Pro
think,
Bowler.
I don't think he has.
He led the league in touchdowns. He had
Yeah,
to be
he
a
had
Pro
to be a
Bowler.
Pro Bowler at one point. So let's throw him out for now.
But he is in the same division.
Is Joe Mixon been a
Ramon-
Pro Bowler?
Ramondre Stevenson. But I don't think he's played long enough.
Wow.
I don't think Stevenson.
And I don't think he has 34 touchdowns either.
Yeah.
AFC.
Joe Mixon is going to be my guess.
I
I think
think-
Joe Mixon.
This might be.
Eckler had touchdowns,
Eckler
guys.
had 22 touchdowns last year alone. Like, there's no way.
And he had to have been a Pro Bowler. He had to.
Yeah. There's no. Yeah. I think it's. I'm gonna go
Joe
Mixon.
Mixon.
Plus, Anthony would be demented to put a Bengals player last year.
First of all,
34
rude.
touchdowns is a ton of touchdowns.
But Mixon's been in the league for. I mean,
It could be Mixon.
he's been in the league 4 or 5 years now.
But he
so,
had like 1,300 yards one year.
yeah, but he only had 800 last year. He was hurt, so that's 2002.
But no Pro Bowls.
I don't think he's ever. I mean, I don't think he's ever been a Pro Bowl. I mean, I'm just going through the. It's
Okay, let's
It's
go
no
with
one on
Mixon.
Buffalo. They don't have a real running back.
No, it's not
No one in the
Baltimore.
Jets.
No
It's
one
not
on
Dobbins.
No one on the
Steelers.
Dolphins.
Steelers. It's not Najee Harris. He hasn't been. He doesn't have.
I don't think he has
Two-
34
he's only- it's only his
touchdowns.
third
He's been in
year.
the league a couple years.
Kareem Hunt. But he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie.
Yeah, he definitely was a Pro Bowler. His rookie year, he led the league in rushing, didn't
We already chose Taylor.
Taylor and
There's nobody
Henry
from
are out.
Jacksonville.
No one from Jacksonville.
No
Let's
one
go
from
with
he?
Let's go with
Let's
Mixon.
go with Mixon.
You got locking in Mixon?
Yeah.
I got you guys. That's Austin Eckler.
Damn,
That's
no
Austin
Pro
Eckler?
Bowls?
No Pro Bowls.
He wasn't a.
So Tyler Huntley's been to a Pro Bowl and Austin Eckler hasn't. Good job, NFL.
According to Wikipedia, he had no Pro Bowls when I put this together yesterday.
Wow.
Hold up.
That is
Hold up.
stunning to me.
That's crazy.
I can't believe that he's never been to a Pro Bowl. Because that's the reason we didn't go Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Because we said the touchdowns, there's very few guys that could be.
He was an All-Pro last year, finished 6th in Offensive Player of the Year voting, was not a Pro Bowler.
That's crazy.
How are you an All-Pro and not a Pro Bowler?
Because he probably turned it down.
And you still get the honor, though. If you're named to the Pro Bowl, you still claim that.
I guess.
You should at least get the honor if you don't, right?
I'm pretty sure you get the honor.
So for the record, that was just rushing touchdowns, not total touchdowns. Because Austin Eckler has 34 rushing touchdowns and 29 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. I thought, man, that's kind of low for his touchdown total.
Oh, my apologies on that.
Yeah.
If it's touchdowns, rushing and receiving.
Yeah, because he had 20 touchdowns last year alone. So, but it's okay. It's a good game, Anthony. Good game.
Did you guys see the text from Steve? There's a super chat. Someone asked where y'all posting up for the game tomorrow. Do we know where the tickets are?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Boogie I'll tell you guys right now. Boogie texted me 18 links for tickets, like individual links.
And they're all together, though, right?
He said once you get in, you're good. So.
Or you can sit wherever you want.
I think so. But according to the tickets.
Oh yeah, are all tickets $10?
I'm not sure, but we are Section 124 tomorrow. All the tickets are in Section 124. So.
Okay.
You can't miss us. There will be a contingent of us. Yeah, we're all Section 124. So.
Awesome.
Look how Boogie sent me these tickets. It's just 18 different links for tickets. And I was like, oh, y'all can't just send me
one. So
one.
you're the Ticketmaster for tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I gotta find a way to download and send these all to you guys. But
Okay.
we're all Section 124. Different rows, but we'll all be in that general section. Come say what's up. If you guys are in Canton tomorrow at the USFL game, support Boogie, and we'll be chilling, watching the game, having a good time. And Director Steve will be the #1 attraction of all the people in Canton tomorrow, right? You're still coming, Steve?
He is still coming.
So.
All right, guys, before we get on to our last topic of the day, I just want to remind everybody that you can see your favorite golf legends play in the Collie Companies Championship, July 12th through July 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Fun, family-friendly events all week long featuring a new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every night. There's something for everyone. Learn more at collegegolf.com. And moving on, do you guys think we're done making moves in the offseason as the Browns, now that DeAndre Hopkins seems to be a long shot, according to Mary Kay?
I'll let you guys go.
Do you want me to answer, do I think they will be done?
Do you think they're done? And if not, what moves should they make?
I think they are done.
Okay.
Hopkins made a lot of sense. He had the connection with Deshaun.
Right.
The wide receiver room, we think, is much better this year. But we know what Amari Cooper is outside of Cooper. No one has shown, that top-tier talent and production. DPJ was solid last year, and solid will take. Elijah Moore is obviously uber talented, but didn't work out in New York. Cedric Tillman's a rookie. Marquise Goodwin's fast, but that hasn't translated to tremendous success on the field for a number of different reasons. So I thought on paper, Hopkins at least made sense to solidify that room. And I know you said you didn't think they needed him. If he was an upgrade that helped them win one extra game in the AFC, that one game could be the difference in making and missing the playoffs this year. So I thought Hopkins would have been the move if they're going to make one. Right. So I don't think they will. But for the sake of this argument, and once again, this is not going to happen, but for the sake of this argument, if they were going to make one more move, I have 3 names that I think make sense.
Okay.
2 are pass rushers, and 1 is Dalvin Cook, who we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook's not going to come here. He wants to be a starter. He is going to Miami, so there's not a chance he comes here. But if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm making the call. And there's 2 reasons why. 1, we are 1 injury away from Nick Chubb getting hurt and having an unproven guy in Jerome Ford.
Take that thought out of your mouth.
Who I really like. But being the bell cow back for a team whose offense should be one of the top 5 to 7 in the league.
But he's getting 17 carries a game. I mean, he should last 30 years.
Running back's a very up and down position.
Kids.
It is not anything against Nick Chubb. It's just durability in the league at that position is very hard to sustain, and he's been tremendous at it. But the reality is we're 1 hit away from having Jerome Ford be our starting running back. So, and I'm okay with that. But if you could bring in Dalvin Cook for super cheap, 4-time Pro Bowler, 400 yards, I would do that. But the more realistic options that I think if they are going to make a move make sense would be 2 pass rushers, either Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram. Basically because, A, they're on 1-year deals. They're mercenaries. Jim Schwartz loves to rotate defensive ends and defensive linemen. Houston had 9.5 sacks last year. And if you're telling me, even if he plays 5 to 10 plays a game, that's it. 3rd down, 3rd and long, you put an extra pass rusher in, and then you have a defensive line of Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Obo, and a guy like Justin Houston who's big enough to rush from the interior or the outside, as just an extra rotational chess piece. That's the move I like to see them make, but I do not think they will end up making any more moves before we start training camp.
Well, you know what? I'll give you my thoughts on it. Some of you may have heard me. I just bought a house. And the crazy thing about buying a house is, they tell you to save your money and you got to have a certain credit score. And you do all of this saving, right? You do all of this saving and you can't spend any money. They check your accounts. They say, don't you take no money out of these accounts. We need to see screenshots of everything you've done.
And they climb up it.
So they send them regular. So now you start to see, you're like, wow, look, I'm being fiscally responsible. My debt ceiling is better than the Republican Party's. My debt ceiling is looking good. Now you check your report, but then you get the house, right? And so then they take the restraints off. So you've already been, that 30-year mortgage means you all in. That means you will be here paying for this come hell or high water.
For 30 years.
Now.
Till you're 70.
So my thing is, they say, well, G. Bush, man, well, you got the house. You can't go back in there and get a bunch of new furniture. Because guess what? You get new furniture. Now you got the house. You got to pay on the furniture stuff. And you start to think, you say, but I'm supposed to pay on this till I'm 70. At what point in time am I going to enjoy any of this? So why am I saving this money and going to the thrift store and buying secondhand furniture? Why am I going around here messing around, getting appliances from your next door neighbor in an apartment building? No. If the house costs a certain amount, the furniture has to add up. And guess what? The house that the foundation that the Cleveland Browns built their house on is $250. It's $50 million and it gets the cap. That is Deshaun Watson. So at any point in time, because he is the house and you can't get out of that, you can't just give a house back. Nope. No, you're going to pay on that. That's called foreclosure. You can't foreclose. Guess what? You always in the business for looking for home improvement McNuggets. You might want a deck. You might want siding. You might want a little bit den in the basement. So you always looking for, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, give me that because I want to enjoy it until I'm 70, right? So the Cleveland Browns should be looking all the time. They ain't got to break the bank, but it's okay to go look for vases and it's okay to go look for a recliner once in a while. Hey, you want a TV? Your TV is 55 inches. You say, I want one of those 70-inch TVs like Jay. I'm gonna be somebody, right? But I gotta save up a couple weeks for that. He just go get his. But the reality of the situation, the Browns actually have the money. So they can just go get theirs, right? Now, next year you might not have it, but it's a long, outdrawn analogy about why the Browns should always be aggressive because you told us that you was buying the house.
Jay, before you answer, can I make one more tiny point off G's to go to you? So I mentioned Dalvin Cook, and once again, he's not coming to Cleveland. He's not. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not probably going to make the call. No. Andrew Berry doesn't value running backs. We've seen that. Kareem Hunt's still out there. Ezekiel, like, running backs are not in the same.
They're not like wide receivers.
They're not buckets where you need them. So I get that. But I'm just saying, Miami and Denver, the two teams that he's rumored to be interested in, that have interest of bringing him in.
They both could use him.
They both could use him a lot more than the Browns because they don't have
in Miami
because they don't have a Nick Chubb.
I don't like Miami.
And those are two teams.
No, but you put a running back on there.
No, I don't like.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I'm scared now.
And my point is, those are two teams that
can make real moves with a running back.
Can make moves with a running back, and they are in that same category of teams with the Browns. Of you have the Chiefs, based on what they've done in the last 2 years, the Bengals, Bills, and then you have 4 through 6, 7, 8, 9 that are all fighting for 3 or 4 playoff spots. And yes, he's not coming to Cleveland. I do not expect him to even make a call. But you might as well kick the can and see if he has any interest in playing with Nick Chubb, because if not, he's going to go to a team that you're fighting for a playoff spot.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I'll piggyback off what you said. So if you're going to use the house and the Browns analogy, the owner of the house, the Haslams, just went to Milwaukee and bought a vacation house.
Right.
Yeah, but they also just got paid from Messi.
Fine. Great. Guess what? Before you go buy a vacation house in Milwaukee, why are you buying a vacation house in Milwaukee?
Yeah, that first of all.
But you just bought a second home in Milwaukee.
AKA a timeshare almost.
There's a rule, okay? Before you can own 2 homes, 1 home should be a palace.
Right.
It should be everything you want in a home.
Right.
That's their first home. And they're the landlord and we're the tenants. We're living here. We ain't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Get your first home in order and then go buy a second home.
Right.
they've already got, and by the way, they got a third vacation rental in Columbus in the soccer team.
Which just skyrocketed in value, by
Of course
the way.
it did.
They just made
tons of money.
Messi, we talked about it in overtime yesterday. Messi going to Miami is so much money for Jimmy Haslam. That's good for Browns fans.
It is, but that's a temporary boost. Like Messi's at the end of his career. He's probably still by most counts the best. He's in the conversation for the best players in the world.
Yeah.
How much of a windfall that's going to be long term for the league, we don't know. But what could happen is he could draw other big name players from Europe to come here, and the whole idea is to boost the league up all at once.
And that's just essentially.
But I've seen other top. When Beckham came, it was going to change life in soccer in America.
We thought this in overtime. We don't have to get back into it. There's a difference in Messi and Wayne Rooney coming because they were past their primes. And Messi is not in his prime, but he just won the World Cup. He was the best player on the World Cup team.
Yeah, but he's still. Make no mistake, he's at the end of his prime.
Yeah, but he's still like today a top 3-4 player in the world.
He is.
He has, what, 3 years tops?
But you see him coming here if he's 24 and the top player in the world?
No. But when Beckham and Rooney came here, they were significantly past their. Yeah, but they were way past their prime.
I don't know how old was Beckham when he came here.
I'm not take age out of it, but
yeah,
when David Beckham left, he was not in the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah, remember Messi is
still
coming off of a World Cup win against the second best player in the world.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I just I think that's a short-term boost. I hope it helps.
I hope it helps. And any money's money.
MLS
any money's money.
Raise up to a new level. But unless he's selling the team today, I don't know that. If he holds this team for 10 years, Messi will be out of the league for a long time by then. So I don't know. Your analogy: get your house in order, then go buy a vacation house, and then fix that one up.
Yeah.
But get this one to where it's a palace, and we're living in it. We're the tenants. We have to deal with this. So, I don't think they're going to make any more moves. I don't. If they were going to, and I talked to Jim Donovan yesterday also about DeAndre Hopkins. What do you think? He's like, if he comes here, it'll be at the Browns' price, not his.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I don't think it'll come to that because I think someone will end up, and they always do, someone's going to need a wide receiver, whether it's to start the season or 3 weeks in, a top-tier wide receiver goes down, and his paycheck just went way up.
And Odell Beckham Jr. helped a lot of people.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I mean, people was laughing at him being out in Arizona, going shaking hands with the owners, and
it worked.
And they were like, Odell is out here
got all his
with a "we'll work for free cheese" like sign. Like,
yeah.
And then guess what? He got $15 million, and all the rest of the receivers was like, well, hold on now. Yeah. I was going to take a discount, but I'm better than him, and I'm more durable. Yeah. I think I can get X, Y, and Z. Guess what, Jay? Like you said, somebody going to get hurt.
Someone will get hurt. Even if he sits on the sidelines and he just waits. And Ndamukong Suh waited to sign late last year. Somebody's going to have a desperate, we need a guy now. Jamar Chase is going to go down, or this one's going to go down.
Or teams not playing as well as they should. They thought they were contenders.
They need another receiver. So he'll be smart. He'll wait this out. I don't think it's going to be here in Cleveland. I still say, and I maintain this all along, and I know that you've upgraded dramatically your defensive front, which by proxy should make your linebacking core better. For me,
that's the one glaring.
When you look at the where's the glaring weakness? Because there's a saying in pro sports: you're as strong as your weakest link.
Yep.
Our weakest link is our linebacker room, and I know that everybody in football wants to deprioritize the position, but there's 3 of them for a reason. Sometimes they go with 2, but they are very important. And when you look at all-time great defenses of all time, what do they all have in common, G. Bush?
They got linebackers that tackle.
Derek Brooks, Ray Lewis. Look at the Bears linebackers that they have.
Yep.
So it's a staple for great football teams, and we have basically said we don't need them. So we don't need them.
While I agree with you, I don't know who's out there at the linebacker right now that makes them better.
I'll tell you right now, nobody. But last year the Ravens went out and got Smith.
Okay, that's
middle of the season,
totally different.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, like right now, if you say like what's the roster of linebacker they can make to improve this team in 2023, there's just no one out there at this point.
It's thin pickings, but I'm telling you, last year we were going into the season saying, who are our wide receivers and who are our defensive who's playing up front? And you know what? Guess what got us in the end? The Achilles heel was the defensive line. There was nobody there. And we had said when they broke camp, I'm excited about this team, but who's going to tackle guys?
Yeah, that's fair.
And who's going to get after quarterbacks other than Myles Garrett? And so now, that position now is all linebacker. Like, all of our linebackers on the roster were on injured reserve at the end of last year.
All of them.
Totally valid.
So we're gonna hope that a Band-Aid first aid crew at linebacker is gonna all suddenly be healthy and outstanding just because we upgraded the defensive front.
And that's why.
And we might be at week 8 saying they missed on linebacker. They closed their eyes on that position, and that's what's getting us.
That's why I said they should not be done. You're supposed to still be looking because guess what? I can't. You got Anthony Walker, you got JOK, you got Phillips, you got Taki. These guys have been injured at some point every single year. So for me, it's wishful thinking that all of a sudden they're going to make
me too.
Just
they're going to all be healthy and play great.
All be healthy, right? And then here's another thing we don't take into consideration. When you coming off of major injury, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah, the psychological is there for the next year. And so all these guys are coming off season-ending injuries.
Yeah.
And we're just to expect that we're going to wave this magic wand. And I don't get it. I don't understand how, a great team is strong in every area. Like when you look at baseball, your World Series winners, they've got good pitching, they've got good hitting. They might not be extraordinary in any one of them, but they're top tier in both.
No glaring weaknesses.
The Browns have this flashing red light neon sign, linebackers, and that's all I see. And to your point, Mike, there is no magic move that you can go out and make. But they knew last year at this time that this was a weakness, and they knew the Bears were ready to move on from Smith, and they let a team in our division that finished ahead of us last year go out and get him, and he made a huge difference in that defense.
So I'll pitch you guys a linebacker move then.
Okay.
Not sure if it's feasible. I have no idea what the price is, but we know Arizona's completely selling.
Yes.
They've cut Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. Their goal is to get the number 1 pick next year.
Caleb Williams, you are an Arizona Cardinal next year.
Right.
So they're terrible. They just declined, or not just, but when the 5th-year options had to be picked up, they declined the 5th-year option on Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker they drafted, I believe, either 7th or 9th overall from Clemson a few years ago. He was a versatile defender. He was a little too big to be a safety, a little too small to be a traditional linebacker. But in college, he was one of the most versatile prospects we had seen coming out of the college ranks in a long time. I don't remember the exact breakdown, but he played 40% of snaps at the inside linebacker. He rushed the passer 20% of times. They could drop him into coverage. He's not Roquan Smith.
No.
But at least
he's an upgrade.
At least in college, this dude was a versatile.
I want to know what the price is, but yeah. And by the way, he's not the only guy in that category.
No, but the Cardinals declined his 5th year.
Right.
I'm sure. I don't know what they take, but they're not going to re-sign him. So with a 4th-round pick, maybe. I don't know. I'm asking, but that's a guy maybe that they could bring in to help.
Well, I would hope. Every time Kevin Stefanski talks, he says, our football team is, Andrew Berry's job every day is to be looking at ways to make our football team better. Well, the way they can make this football team better is take an area of need right now that is a glaring weakness, and bring somebody in that's going to shore up the position. And maybe they're confident that they already got that player on roster, and maybe they're hoping that these players are suddenly going to all be healthy and stay healthy. Because to your point, when you have a season-ending injury, the psychology of coming back from that is oftentimes bigger than the actual physical.
Gene knows better than anybody.
Yeah, you do.
Man, you don't, because what happens is you're not training to get bigger or faster or more explosive. You're just training to learn how to walk again. You got to think about it. You're doing 8 months of rehab to walk straight, to run straight, and to strengthen your legs up to a point where you can now be functional enough to play. That is not enough in the league at the highest of high when guys – I realized after I tore my second ACL, everybody has hopes, dreams, and aspirations. When I tore my second ACL within 18 months, 16 months, second ACL. I just got done rehabbing this one and then tore the other one. I knew it was a long shot. It was over because I looked at it and was like, okay, well, even if you say I'm on a MAC level and I feel like I'm one of the best players in the MAC, you already were going to have to be elite when it came to.
You have to be a standout.
You have to be a standout.
Yeah,
and
like MAC kind of player.
Yeah, you got to be dominant and your numbers got to look great and your production. So I said, okay, well, you missed a whole calendar year. Now when you come back, you're going to be rotating because they're not going to play you 100,000 snaps. Now you didn't even get to you didn't really get to train to get better. You just trained to get back. And now you tear another ACL. That's a whole another 8 months. So
now you don't have a strong side anymore either.
Now you don't have. You just now is you got to learn to play with less explosion. You got to do some different things to augment your game. And it's just like everybody else has been training for 2 years. You can't give a leap.
And the fear, too. So, you know, these guys, all these guys, too, this is their livelihood.
Yeah.
And, you know, an injury for, a weekend warrior sucks because you lose a year and you have to rehab to come back, but you can still come back and play the game you love. These guys know now, I don't know that I'm going to be good enough to get another paycheck to stay in the league. So it's a fear of getting re-injured is always in your mind. So are you really, truly ever going to be that player in that first year back that you were the year before? Because you're holding back. You may not know it, but you're not all gas, no brakes. And that can be a problem.
Unless you're Adrian Peterson, who gets 2.
Well, he's a freak. He came back in like 6 months from an ACL.
And was good immediately.
And was great again.
Good immediately.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, we're done. Greg Pruitt never called in.
Nope, never heard from Greg, unfortunately. But we're going to do viewer questions in overtime. See a couple of you asking if overtime's worth it in the chat. Give it a try. Try it out.
It is worth it.
It's 100% worth it. We have so much fun
Become a baller tier member, a coach's tier member, $4.99 a month.
Also, it looks like
you get the extra segments.
We teased Greg Newsome on Tuesday. I think it's now Thursday. Checking my emails.
Okay.
I think it's Thursday. This is why we don't tease stuff ahead of time.
Very good. You still got a guest on
Tuesday.
A guest on Thursday.
Yes.